movie collection on Instagram. Smile and wave at the boys and girls, Corey.
Yeah. Hello.
He is the Sunny to my Cher, the Mary to my Rhoda, the Brian Dunkelman to my Ryan Seacrest. Corey, what is the MCU universe, and what do we have in store for us tonight?
Well, you see, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a beautiful, wonderful tapestry of love and loss, where characters are intertwined in turmoil and cross over from one film to the next to create one giant whole of joy.
A whole joy. Great.
I see it.
So, would you like to know the rules of tonight's ceremonies?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, 5 picks per team. So each team, these people over here, these people over here, and these people over here, and these people over here will each have 5 picks, 5 movies from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Each team gets 1 veto. So if somebody plays a movie that nobody else likes, it goes away. It goes away. It can come back, but it goes away. Each team will draw a random power-up. These random power-ups are confusing as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There is an extra team veto. What?
Oh.
You can swap a position.
That's us.
Wow. You can have 1 movie per character.
Ooh.
I mean, seriously, is anyone going to pick more than 1 Iron Man movie? Come on, people.
You're right.
Yeah.
And the other one could be 1 team loses a veto, but each member gains an individual veto. So that's kind of rad, you know. Picks 20 through 17 are done as a team. So the little groupings that will be introduced sooner rather than later, each vote as a team for their choice. Picks 16 through 5 are decided by individuals in said team. And picks through 4 through 1 are decided on as a team.
Wow, that's amazing. So 4 teams. We have 12 people here and 1 goal. The top 20 in the MCU universe of movies. Let's go ahead and meet our teams. So we had the teams draw before we started, and Team A is best friends.
Yeah!
Team best friend! Team best friend! Team best friend! Team best friend! Team best friend!
There's so many.
All right, we have Andy.
Hi.
Hi.
What is up, hosts?
Oh boy.
This is Andy, the resident fat dude of Fat Dude Digs Flicks, coming to you live from Average Joe's Gaming in T, South Dakota. I just wanted to do that on Backlot 605. That's all.
It's amazing. Next we have Charlie.
Was it though?
Local wrestling announcer Charlie Eccles here, ladies and gentlemen, from Flagship Pro Wrestling, Magnum Wrestling down in Omaha. You can catch me on all of the social media. We'll talk about that later.
He's a pirate.
Oh, no!
Look at Charlie bringing it down. Whoa.
Still good?
We're good.
We good?
No. Let's move it closer. Move it closer.
Let's do this.
Move it closer to the table.
It's not the closer.
It's
The
we got this. It's the tripod.
Yep.
Yeah.
How we looking, Derek?
It'll do.
Yes.
That'll do, big.
Oh.
The excitement of live.
Back to it now, Jess.
Hi, I'm Jess. I'm a local performer and singer and a huge MCU nerd, and I'm very nervous and excited to be here.
Team best friend! Team best friend! Team best friend!
And Team Best Friends, what is your power up?
We got the SWAT position power up.
Ooh, that's amazing. Okay, now we have Team B, Backlot 605. you guys introduce yourselves?
Thanks for letting us on your
Go ahead,
show.
Sam.
I'm Sam. I'm here to wear a Hawaiian shirt and take names.
And I'm already wearing a Hawaiian.
And I'm already wearing a Hawaiian shirt. So, I'm just excited to be here. Thanks everybody for being on this panel with us. Starting now, though, that ends. You're all my mortal enemies.
Rivalry. Who said we were mortal?
I did.
Good summer.
It's Morbin time.
I am Brian, and you can still be my friends when you get done. For now.
I'm Casey, and I wrote the rules, and I don't even understand them.
Yes.
I would also like to throw in their team best friends is only named team best friends because they don't have a podcast together.
Oh, I have a podcast.
Together.
Fair
Don't
point.
tempt me.
Together.
Yeah, we both have.
So Jess has been on it more than I have.
Oh, there.
It's Team B on Andy's podcast.
There you go. And now we have Team C, which is Wednesday Comics. Awesome. We're going to go ahead and get to know Alex first. Hi, Alex. Oh, we'll change up there.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to 605 Backlot. Thank you for letting me be here. I am the most serious person on our show, and that's all you need to know. If it doesn't make sense, it shouldn't be in comics.
We have Marvin next.
No,
Oh my gosh.
I just feel like everybody know on this panel that I'm here for chaos today.
Then we have Garrett.
Yes,
I
I'm
think-
Garrett. It's all good. I was like, I am the lesser known member of Wednesday Comics, but co-host, and I call out Alex's and Marvin's bullshit all the time, but not today. Today we bullshit together. So.
I'm looking forward to it. All right, we have Team D over here, a comic book look. Let's get to know them. Yeah. Hey, Dan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Just didn't want to knock over any cameras. I'm Dan, aka Juggernaut. You can find me on YouTube doing Pokemon cards. Not sure how I got sucked into the MCU, but I've seen a movie or two. I'm here to rock it.
John.
All right. Well, I am John On Demand, co-host of A Comic Book Look. Tom could not be here. He is stuck in Spain with the Rona. So we wish him the best. And he really wanted to be here, but definitely sends his best regards to everyone. And also mentioned something about sending international sympathy cards when we get our victory.
Nice.
Nice try, Tom.
All right, now we have Ken.
Yeah, I'm Ken, and I am actually more of a Stephen King kind of fan, but I do know a thing or two about the Marvel movies, so I'm hoping that I can bring a little wisdom and knowledge to the panel tonight.
If nothing else, you brought a great hat. So
The hat doesn't qualify.
really. Okay, so we're gonna launch right into it, guys. We're gonna start with our number 20 movie, which is going to be a pick from Team A, which is Team Best Friends.
Team best friend. Team best friend.
Do you want us with this one to give it to them still?
Yeah, just pass it around. Just don't look at it. Come
Just
on.
paper football it over here. Like, come on.
There we go. It's a process. It's a process.
Clearly, the logistics were thought all the way.
Yes.
Shoot it over here.
I know. You guys really could just text me. Might be faster.
That probably would be.
I know.
Okay, at number 20, Team Best Friends has played Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
What?
That's so hard. What?
Listen.
What?
Listen.
Yeah.
Get the shield.
Who's
gonna veto? I mean,
So,
Our team vetoes this.
Are they vetoing?
If we all veto, do they get kicked out of the game?
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness has been vetoed. I mean,
20?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it could be 28, but the list doesn't go that low. Listen, this film from the director of For the Love of the Game is like, it's not even his best movie. But we'll talk about this later, I'm sure.
We're
So
gonna put this in the little garden of vetoes that we'll get.
and I can write it again.
Well, that's been veto. Do you guys have another pick to offer into this universe?
I do.
Oh, wonderful.
I do.
Lovely.
I have a question for you.
I think they just did it to get rid of someone's veto.
Sure.
Well, things are off to a rocky start here, guys. We already have
Is
a
it my
veto.
favorite character?
Yeah.
It's not my favorite character.
All right. We'll figure that out.
But
Just
let me
one
tell
different
you,
character.
it's my favorite character for a shirt that they had at DXL Big and Tall.
Oh,
Sometimes you want to fit in, but sometimes shirts just don't fit. And that's why DXL is there. Can I get Backlot 605 a DXL sponsorship on their last episode? Let's find out.
Oh, so at number 20, instead of Doctor Strange, is now the cinematic masterpiece Eternals.
Tell us a little bit about your pick, guys.
Listen, so I'm gonna say something that I usually say on these countdowns. Actually, I'm a little bit more violent on this countdown. I've noticed. That's
It's
weird.
been so much fun.
It's weird. It's weird to be this aggressive. Yeah. Listen, I know some people are bringing anger and chaos and all of those fun feelings to this countdown, which is really weird for a countdown kind of celebrating something that we all love so much, and a countdown celebrating a podcast that has brought us all together with love and admiration. That said, I'm going to stir some shit and play Eternals at number 20 because y'all vetoed Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Eternals is fine. Is it great? No. Is it the worst? Is it the worst Marvel movie? No.
It's like a movie?
But like, listen, if Zack Snyder can somehow make Justice League and have people be like, yeah, it's the greatest thing, I'm sure people will be the same way about Chloe Zhao's Eternals and like that as well. Yeah, Eternals at number 20, just because let's play a game. Let's play a game.
Someone woke up today and chose violence. I love it.
Little do you know, Andy, is that plays right into my hands. Not only did I not think that Eternals was going to make it onto this list, but now Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is not number 20, and Eternals actually did make the list. So thank you.
So I guess I am celebrating
Thank you.
Backlot 605, or at least just saying.
At least 1/3 of it. At 1/3 of it for sure.
Well,
so,
1/3 of you, yay.
33 and a third.
The rest of you, listen. Also, I've been without power for 2 days. I'm just a little pissed. But I got some sleep last night. Yay, hotels.
He's clearly
Yay
wired.
for sleep. Yay for sleep. So I'm only like half as angry as I would have been if I didn't get sleep. Yay! This is gonna be fun. We're gonna have a really good time, everybody.
I want to hear what everyone else thinks about Turmoil.
Yes.
Let's hear about it.
I thought it was a very boring movie. I went into it. Sorry, Mike. Jesus.
Yeah.
I forgot we're doing the
podcast?
show. Hey, they never give me a mic. They push me away. But I thought that the characters were very stagnant throughout the entire thing. And when we got to the end and it's like they're fighting each other, I was so bored out of my mind. So, pretty generic movie.
Oof.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, I admit on my personal list, this was like 27 for me. I just did not care, and that's somebody who thirsts after Richard Madden saying that. But like, I just could not care about these people. So
Yeah, it's my personal number 23. So
Anybody have it as high as 17? That's where I had it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I had it at number 20. Like, this is exactly where I had it for my personal.
The veto didn't get touched. Maybe it's too many too early. But number 17, I watched it. I didn't watch it in theater, so I watched it later. So I think my expectations were kind of lowered.
and I feel like it's fine for what it is. You know, they've tried to do grand movies like that before, and they became television series instead of movies. And we're talking about that Inhumans thing, and it didn't pan out. I think this was a better attempt at doing something on that scale. The only thing at the end, if you're disappointing yourself, don't run into the sun. That's all I know. So.
Or you just create enemies to fight because I guess you have to save the day, even though Thanos ruined everybody's lives. Like, now we're gonna come after everything's done.
What's that from last
They can't interfere.
Why?
Only with deviants. Come on, don't you listen to the rules?
Yeah, who created the deviants? Nobody knows.
I'm personally delighted to see it make the list, but it definitely had opportunities to shine a little bit brighter than it did. So I think 20 is fair.
The only thing I have to say about it is the storyline, not so much, but it was a very pretty movie to watch. That's one thing it had going for it.
Backlog. I remember nothing that happens in this movie, so I can't comment. It's awful. This movie's horrible.
It's a joke.
So I actually thought going into that movie, Angelina was going to ruin it for me.
She did.
She didn't ruin it for me, honestly. I was like, because they didn't make her like the centerpiece. A lot of times you see actors come in like that, and you're like, crap, I'm gonna have to watch them the whole time. No, she was part of the movie, and they let it flow nicely. And I think a lot of us come to MCU movies with expectations that are just up here. So something to fail like that really drops it for us. I came in with low expectations because of Angelina, and I was like, oh, this wasn't so bad. Didn't make my 20 though.
I went into the same position. I thought the exact same thing, where Angelina was going to be in the center of the movie on that. And I actually walked out and I felt delighted that they tried something more dramatic. It felt like a nice change in the MCU, in my opinion, because we've gone from everything that they had in Phase 4, and then which one came out? It wasn't. I keep wanting to say No Way Home, but then the final, or that next Spider-Man movie came out, and this felt like it was a step in a different direction, not so much in a different movie in the same direction.
I'll say one last thing. Also, one thing that I will give Eternals, my girlfriend liked it. And that's sometimes tough to come by. So because she liked it, I was kind of like, oh my gosh, she's invested in this. I can get on board with this movie. And yeah, I didn't hate it.
Well, if I've been
your own man. Trust me, when it comes to movies, I am. I got you.
All right, we just got our number 20 movie is The Eternals, and the debate here is already heating up. But if you learned anything, it's from Dan, who said, "Just keep your expectations real low. You guys are going to be impressed. It's going to be good." So we're going to head to number 19, which is Team B, Backlot 605. Oh gosh, it's exciting. Homecoming. Wow.
Okay.
A hush goes over the crowd. Okay. What do we think? Is this a good spot? Are we putting it? I'm putting it on the board, guys. I'm putting it on the
bad
board.
spot, but I don't want to waste our power on it.
I think it's a decent spot because it was Spider-Man kind of being in the shadow of Iron Man, and it took. I mean, we'll talk about the other movies later, but it took 3 movies for Spider-Man to be on his own.
No, we won't, Garrett.
I mean, hey, you're telling me Toby comes back, and you're not like jumping for joy for that movie, but I think that Homecoming is. I like 18. That's a good pick.
Okay, why did you pick Homecoming for number 19? Is there a reason for it?
Because Michael Keaton is the best part of a movie that terribly tries to replicate John Hughes and does not succeed.
So for a series that's trying to reintroduce Spider-Man to the MCU, obviously we got him in Civil War, but this is his first time by himself with Iron Man in the movie. It does a good job of doing the high school stuff that the Toby stuff like really felt a little out of place. It's like, yeah, Toby, you're like 32 years old. You're not. Andrew, I liked Andrew's high school stuff, but they got out of high school pretty fast in that series. So it's at least nice to see Spider-Man in high school hanging out with his friends. This is the best, in my opinion. I don't know about you guys. The best, what is it? MJ, whatever her name is.
Mary Jane.
Mary Jane.
No, not Mary Jane. See, whatever that. Her character in this is so much better than the next two. She completely changes character, and it's like you're not even the same person anymore. What's going on? So I like this movie for that. It has a great Spider-Man villain, great motivation, even though it is an Iron Man motivation, not a Spider-Man motivation, which is the biggest problem with the next Spider-Man movie, which we will not talk about on this show.
Are you sure about that,
I am
Casey?
pretty
Are you
damn
100%?
Sure we're not going to talk.
Is everyone else here in agreement that we won't talk about the next one? Okay.
Look, our power was that we have an extra veto, so we actually still have the power to take Far From Home off this list.
They got the power.
And I don't like that movie. What?
He-Man?
No, Far From Home.
You have the power and hate He-Man?
Masters of the Universe.
He's too young for He-Man.
Yeah, I don't watch He-Man. I'll watch it. Jeez.
Is everyone?
I agree with 19 on Homecoming, and if it was up to me, it wouldn't even be on this list. But
But at least it's not taking a better movie's place.
We love Melvin.
it's Sam hit it on the head. I can't say anything more about this movie. It tries to be something that has came before, and also try to put it in line with MCU, where they had a chance with a character that had the backing of two movie studios to do something way different, and it just was more of the same. I actually disagree about the MJ comment, because when you're in love, you change. So in those two movies, she
You don't change your entire personality.
I don't know.
When you're getting some, you do.
Congratulations on having a nice high school.
You ever been in love with Spider-Man? You ever been in love with Spider-Man?
Oh, I am still in
Oh,
love.
okay. Well, then.
I got sober, man. I know what it's like to change your whole personality.
Are you assuming a 16-year-old is an alcoholic?
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen Euphoria?
Iron Man, you sure are.
Team best friends, what do you think about the pick?
I'm gonna let Jess talk on this one.
Yeah.
I love Spider-Man movies. I love all of them so much. Even Spider-Man 3 of the Raimi movies. They're just, I love them.
Spider-Man 3 rules.
So, I understand your criticisms, but for me, having seen all of the other backlogged Spider-Man movies, this was refreshing to me. And it sort of started this new chapter we're seeing where, especially after the third one of Tom Holland's movies, it's starting over again. So I think it was a great foundation for them kind of taking Spider-Man from high school to being on his own, disassociated from Iron Man and the Stark technology and stuff like that. So that's, yeah.
I respect you loving Spider-Man. Do you even enjoy Amazing Spider-Man 2? Legitimately, the worst movie the universe has ever seen.
The reason I hate that movie is because of that goddamn Philip Phillips song in it.
Yes.
Makes me so mad, but I love Andrew Garfield, and that's all I have to say about that.
We all make wrong choices. That is yours, but you can have it.
Guys, there are gauntlets all over this place, and we are only at number 19. A comic book look. Did you guys have any opinions on this movie? You feel good about it? We gonna leave it?
So my take on it is he the best Spider-Man? No. But he's the best Peter Parker. I think he portrays Peter Parker better in the films than any of the other ones do. He's got that nerdy high school quality.
Clearly a house divided. It's not Stephen King. I get it. I'm totally kidding. The one thing that this film really had going for it was they took a character that is really kind of antiquated when you look at him in the old comics with the green outfit with the fur couture on the collar and all that. And they made him into an awesome robot suit and kind of badass and kind of fit into the MCU nicely. I just would have loved to have seen more from all of the characters involved. It felt, I don't know. It was an introductory film.
John, you did get to see more of him in Morbius.
I don't want to talk about that in credit scenes at all. I'm really upset about that.
Well, one thing I want to talk about is fur couture fur. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, the old outfits are amazing. Yeah, it's
good. I'm
insane.
here for it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna head on to number 18.
Does anybody want to veto that? I'm assuming no.
No,
I'm good with
I
that.
think we're good to go.
Rock
We're moving
on.
to number 18. So
I got a
number
question
18.
about our power up.
Oh
If
yeah.
I use it and then the movie's vetoed, do I get it back?
Ooh.
Oh.
Casey.
No, we wrote it in the rules that theirs and theirs are unveto.
Oh, you can't veto. Okay, here you go. And there's a power in between.
Okay.
You're gonna power up. Oh my
Power up
gosh.
right away.
Oh my gosh.
On the movie you're picking, right?
Wednesday Comics didn't even let me say pick your movie. They are here and they're here with the power up.
So last episode, we got to.
Yes.
We're doing
Casey
it.
said burn it down, so let's do it.
Iron Man 2! Oh no!
What?
Well,
So is Iron Man?
Play as a team. Fuck that.
yeah, well,
That was your F-bomb.
yeah.
Sometimes even these guys are wrong.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's
So
a
that's
there's a fight.
number
It's fine.
18 and it
Tell us about your pick and why you decided to upset a room full of people.
Including your teammates.
burning it down.
We had a discussion at the last second. I made a move. Charlie. Just ruined being a real iron.
You're being a real Melvin.
Let's let
Now listen,
Melvin
it was
say
going
his
to be an
case.
Avengers movie, so let's get that off the table. It would have been no more Avengers movies. But I wanted to take, and I couldn't have put any other Iron Man 3 that low. But I know that we had some discussions about that movie, and nobody was going to put it on this goddamn list. So that's my, that's my reaction to it. Oh, you were? I'm too late.
I respect Marvin's pick. I don't love any of the Iron Man movies. I don't hate any of them either. So this is fine. And I think that's as much as I feel about the Iron Man.
That's what you can say, really.
It's fine.
The second one's not good.
No.
Hence, what is it? 17?
But it does have Sam Rockwell in it.
Yes.
He's good.
And Mickey Rourke
Sam
is Bird.
Rockwell's incredible.
That
bird.
Number
Hey,
one, people need to rewatch the movie.
I don't mean to pause you, but there's some crowd confusion on the power up. Can we maybe re-explain the power up?
Yeah.
Just
No,
the
that's
standalone
no
movie.
franchise.
One other Iron Man. No other
That
Iron
means
Man
no
movie.
other Iron Man movie.
Oh, okay.
Avengers.
There goes that.
That's why we could have played Avengers and then no Avengers.
Boy,
Not me.
Gotta make moves. If you took out any movie that mentioned Iron Man from this list wouldn't even make it to 20, I don't think.
Iron Man is the backbone of the MCU. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Your movie's got, I just think Eternals.
Best friends, what do you think about this pick?
Echoes. This is. I knew Charlie was trying to dodge what his favorite character was.
No. I'm not arguing you with this. I could feel the tension in the room. Is what happened here. Okay. Let's talk about the movie itself for a second because I think we've been dodging that. Iron Man 2 with Mickey Rourke as Whiplash. For one,
Yeah.
Can I get some thoughts on Mickey Rourke's Whiplash from everybody?
It was amazing.
He's like trying to do some Russian version of Heath Ledger's Joker, and it doesn't work.
And he has a
But Sam Rockwell, the bird thing, I don't know. But Sam Rockwell's really good as the secondary villain, and I kind of wish that Justin Hammer would have just been the primary antagonist of this.
Elon Musk is in it.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Yes.
Why is this on the list
The
now?
introduction of Black Widow.
Yep.
Yeah. And she has some great scenes in that. Like her scene where she's like taking down the guys in the hallway where Happy Hogan's just like struggling to get the one guy down. It's one of the best action set pieces in the MCU. Yeah, there's good stuff in this.
I did Listen, it's not good. So I didn't. It's not on the list because I think it's good. It's because we talked about chaos before this was starting, and I just need to get Iron Man out of the way.
Yeah, I'm for it.
Before
At least you didn't put Iron Man 3 in this position.
I don't want to make the mistake of somebody putting the first Iron Man in the top 10.
And
So
this
now it cannot be.
And this
So-
makes the list even more interesting.
It
This
really
is not
does.
going to be a typical MCU list moving forward.
This is the final episode of Backlot and the final live show that we have. So why not light a match and burn that bitch down?
I was given orders.
Like Tony Stark's mansion. We're gonna blow it to shreds.
That's why you never give a terrorist your address.
Sure. I mean, yeah. Is this like we said? It's been already beaten into the ground. Is this the best Iron Man movie?
No.
No. But yeah, I like the idea of everybody came to play. Backlot 605 established itself as a reputable podcast, and why not burn that and say goodbye?
They want their last show to be like Spider-Man: Homecoming is worse than Iron Man 2 and Eternal. So.
It's definitely worse than Eternal.
It actually is. Yeah, I agree with both of those.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I agree with those too. It's not a good movie.
Yeah, you guys are.
Dan got something to say.
All right, so Iron Man got to my 15th, I think, so I'm okay with it. However, I might have to Will Smith you because my girlfriend, Kagome, over here, has my top 5. So
Keep Tony Stark's name out of show.
That's wonderful. But no violence.
Just like the MCU, he's now gone.
I just want to take this little break to let you all know that you've been watching this on ESPN 8, The Ocho. We do podcasts now.
And with that crazy upset, again, we're just at pick number 18. So I hope you guys are buckled up. We're going to head into pick number 17, a comic book look. You guys got a movie for us? All right, let's see what this.
Read the name.
At this point, I'm kind of scared. So
Do it.
let's just go ahead and see. It's Ant-Man. And thematically, they wrote it incredibly small.
Points for being adorable.
A comic book that tells all about Ant-Man and why he picked it.
okay, first, Paul Rudd just himself could probably make the top 10 if it was just him. But overall, the movie, I went in with expectations again low. I'm like, it's not Captain America. It's not anybody. I mean, we all know Ant-Man's very important throughout all the comics, but it's just like, okay, we'll see what happens. And I came out so happy I watched that. Like, he did so good with the character he was given. But yeah, overall, I think he definitely deserves to be on the list with this movie, but I don't think he breaks the top 10 with it.
I really got to say that the star of the movie for me was actually Thomas the Train.
Well, and I mean, when you're dealing with Marvel and, they're doing a show about, an older business partner who happens to be bald, who has a special suit, who does, oh, wait, no, that's Iron Man. No, but Ant-Man, I love the fact that they took the concept of a heist movie and made it a superhero movie and worked that in. And I thought the comedy that they put behind it was hilarious. And frankly, I don't remember the character's name, but I could literally just listen to him narrate the entire MCU from the very beginning to the entire end. And I think they should put that on Disney+.
Yes.
Backlot, what are your thoughts?
I think this is a good spot. This is pretty much where we had it on our list.
Yeah.
We think Ant-Man should definitely be on here. I personally was like a little worried because this is after Avengers Age of Ultron, which if you know Ultron, Ant-Man, they're connected. To not have him in that movie was very strange. But I think they pulled it off really well, especially doing Scott Lang and then having Michael Douglas play the older version. So I think this is a good spot for it. He should be on the list. I hope it's the only Ant-Man movie on the list, but we'll see.
I do agree that one thing I took from seeing the movie right out of the gate was the fact that it was a heist movie with a superhero wrapped into it. And I do think that I didn't think in a million years that you would see a movie where Michael Douglas and Paul Rudd have actually really good chemistry with each other. And so I went into it with the great expectations. I'm like, I get to see Paul Rudd be a superhero. This wasn't what I was expecting, but I came out extremely happy. But yeah, just to have him on the list is perfect.
Yeah, like even though I think this is a perfect spot for Ant-Man, there is such a special place. Like I saw this movie 4 times when it hit theaters. I loved it. I think it's just one of the more visually appealing Marvel movies. I love the sequence where he shrinks for the first time, all the micro photography inside the vacuum and the like bathtub. I mean, they actually, that's not all CG. They actually invented these tiny micro cameras that went up in things, and I'm just like, that's so cool. And we can all talk about like what would have happened if Edgar Wright had stuck with it. But I really do think that Peyton Reed taking the reins on this one, he pulled it off. He did a good job, and I kind of hope that he gets a chance to do more in the MCU, even beyond the Ant-Man series.
By the way, your comment about micro cameras being so cool, not when you're past 50, not so much. Also, I agree with what you said. Peyton Reed taking this over from all the directorial madness that they had with Edgar Wright being basically booted off of great differences. And then they rewrote that script. I didn't hate it. Which I think that script was really good, especially for something that's rewritten. And directorial wise, like you said, for something that was like in production to be rehauled and come out that clean. Usually those movies are so convoluted and you can tell it's like two different movies in one. But that movie is a fun. It's not that long. It's a fun ride. I think we all. I'll speak for you guys, I guess, because last time I did. But I think we all had it in this, area. Anything?
No.
It's fun.
You asked me a question. You asked me a question, and I said no, and then I had to think about it. Because you're right, this is fine. Where it is great. It lives in that nice little suburbia land. That's why you got the toys, you got all the shit. Sorry, potty mouth. You know what? I drove here. Clearly, we know I'm the aggressive one of our team. We think Andy's aggressive. You haven't met aggressive yet.
What's up?
Give it time.
Just you wait.
He hasn't put down the shield once.
Thank you.
I do like the placement of the pick. I always look to the Ant-Man movies as like the comic relief, which is ironic for the series. But anytime like a heavy movie comes in, and like obviously after what was it, Infinity War, we got Ant-Man and Wasp, but we'll talk about that maybe later. I don't know if you guys will, but but I like where Ant-Man is because we're coming off Age of Ultron, which I don't think anyone would really like that either. But Quicksilver died.
You'd be surprised. You would be surprised, Garrett, who likes that.
Oh boy, we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll interrupt best friend's strategy session over here and see what their thoughts are on the movie Ant-Man.
I agree with what everybody said so far, and I'll just add that I think probably the biggest travesty in this movie is the wasting of Corey Stoll, because he's such a good actor. But maybe he'll be MODOK. We'll see. But I think Yellow Jacket was a big wet fart.
I do want to focus on the positive of Ant-Man, and that is when Marvel leans heavy into the comedy side of things, when they lean really heavy into it, they do it very well. And this is one of two movies where I think they lean into it, and they lean into it really, really well. I think it has its own brand of comedy within it. They really expand on it. In the second one, I have this a bit higher personally, but I think I also have a very special place in my heart for Louise, Kurt, and Dave, and I would like to see them higher, but we'll leave it there.
Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga.
Yeah, this is the perfect spot for it. If for no other reason, Paul Rudd rules. Like Paul Rudd is just like I have a list of celebrities that I wish were my best friend. Paul Rudd has been number one for like the longest amount of time, and I just want listen, Paul Rudd, if you're listening, I think we would be really good best friends. Like I think we get. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. On my show. Let's just talk about it.
Paul Rudd is listening, and he's omnipresent, actually.
Well, that's the other thing about Ant-Man and Paul Rudd is just the fact that now we have that actor and he can play that character for the next 100 years because that man does not age. So we're good with Ant-Man for a while now.
Definitely immortal. So we have our our top couple already picked out. So we have number 20 is Eternal, number 19 is Homecoming, number 18 Iron Man 2, and number 17 is Ant-Man. So now we're going to head into individual picks. So we have 12 people sitting here. We have the next 12 movies for individual picks. So that means that we are going to get started from number 16 will be from Team C, who is going to be, okay, well, I guess it looks like Melvin already has a pick. So Melvin is here to shake things up, and we're going to see what, is everyone else scared or is it just me? Okay. Okay, so number 16 is Avengers Endgame.
Whoa!
At number 16. So I'm going to pin this on the board nice and slow while you guys talk about this. Let's go ahead to team. Yeah, you guys.
In terms of Avengers movies, obviously there's one of them, the second one that is farther back in this list. But of the remaining ones, I think there's a lot of stuff about Endgame that makes Infinity War a little bit worse. And it goes kind of retroactively makes that movie a little bit worse. And so, but I do think Infinity War is a better Avengers movie. And so I wanted to put this on the list, but not too high because of the things that I did to my other favorite. Yes, Sam.
Just so I get this straight,
Yeah.
you're saying that Endgame retroactively makes Infinity War a worse movie
to solve a problem is
But
a lazy.
How about the fact that Infinity War is nothing but a series of vignettes that's just kind of stretched out and then it just ends and you're like, oh, okay, we just spent a lot of time in disparate like stories and they didn't really come together ever. And that's not a movie. That's an anthology.
And you have
team is this guy.
And you have multiple characters.
I'm sorry, but Endgame is better. Thank you.
What?
Oh my god.
That's his individual vote.
There has been a veto. There has been a veto. All right, we're taking it. We're taking Avengers off, and I see Melvin over there ferociously writing. We are going to see. He's
Let's
writing
remind
so
everybody, if
fast.
you've never been to a live show with Backlot, veto does not mean that it is completely off the list.
It can come back.
It's gonna sit right here.
It can go.
The other one fell down.
That one will sit on the floor. Yeah. Yeah.
Where it belongs.
Until it gets to number one.
All right. Oh. Okay.
Oh no.
So we now have a new movie for number 16, and that is Ant-Man and the Wasp. So there's that. Okay. So
choice. I am not mad about this at all.
I'm delighted. I love that. Is it correct? No, but it's hilarious.
Individual veto.
Melvin's gonna need a new pen. We have a whole lot going on here. So why is this veto? What's the reason for the veto, guys?
So I agree. I think there's only enough room for one Ant-Man in the top 20. And Ant-Man and the Wasp does not need to be higher than the first one.
My veto is because I can.
Ant-Man and the Wasp makes the cardinal sin of downplaying Scott Lang into an idiot when he was shown to be a pretty intelligent guy in the first one.
Yeah. All right. We got a new one, guys.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. Not bad. Not bad.
Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy, number 16.
I'm good with
Melvin, swing your choice.
Well, I don't know. I had two other choices. Got to think on the fly here, and I'm trying to think if somebody wants to use a veto, and I see no hands going up, so I guess that sticks. You know what? I will disagree with something Charlie said earlier about Ant-Man and how Marvel does humor well. I think Ant-Man and that movie in particular are so well loved by everybody that they decided to make every single movie like that. And it kind of ruins movies when they insert humor for no reason. And I think it's because that movie was so big, and so that's why it's number 16.
Man, that's violent.
What was it again?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Otherwise, it's
I'm okay
enjoyable.
with that. It needs to be in
Except
there.
for the ending. Not good.
I
Oh, and also it ruins the character of Ronan, and I can't.
I mean, the movie ends in a dance-off. I mean, that's incredible.
That's the worst part of the movie.
Oh, it's the
Oh, that
best
is
part.
not the worst part of the movie.
That's the worst part of that movie.
I
Who
think
invited
a
you?
character who is very intelligent in the comics, Ronan the Accuser, and they make him a joke.
So is Ant-Man in the comics, but you put Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah. Well, that was retaliation.
No, I think we all agree. We all like this movie. It is considered one of the best MCU movies. It needs to be on the list. I think we all agree with that. Placement, it's just not going. None of us are going to agree where it ends up on the list. It's just a matter of like our passionate picks. For us, I think we all felt pretty safe with Guardians here. We all like this movie a lot. It's a fantastic Marvel movie. Introducing characters. It's like, yeah, there's a giant tree that can say "I am Groot," and then there's a talking raccoon with, tons of weapons, and then the fat guy from Parks and Rec. How is this going to work? And it does, and I think that's the power of James Gunn and his team behind the movie. I think this is a good spot.
It's because DC was scared to put something like Wonder Woman out, so Gunn is like, I'm going to give you a talking tree and a raccoon,
Yeah.
and I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
My only issue with the Guardians movies is that it has turned Chris Pratt into a very bland leading man that just takes boring roles now. And I just want comedic Chris Pratt back, Like,
Yeah, we're back on the same page.
right? Yeah, just no more Jurassic World, please, Chris. Just do something unique and bold and daring. And I love those movies, but
Drop the abs, fall back into a pit.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Looks like Jamie has something to say. What do you have to say? Jess, sorry. I'm an idiot. I'm just like Charlie. I'm going to mispronounce everybody's name tonight. Take it away, Jess.
No, I was just gonna say that upon my rewatch, I ended up ranking this pretty high personally because it aged very well to me.
Mm-hmm.
When I rewatched it, I kind of appreciated it more with everything else that's gone on because it was so unique and it built something up that was just from kind of nowhere. That was maybe a because that's where they
Nowhere.
I pretty much agree. I'm glad it's on the list. I personally would have had it higher, but I'm not furious about it. No, I'm good.
I will say,
He's fishing.
This is not something that I saw once in the theaters. I have seen this recently too because it plays every week on TNT, and I still do not. Every time I watch it, I like it less. So that's really.
No, the reason I really like the Guardians is it kind of gave Marvel the go-ahead to do and be as weird as they possibly could. Because it's like, if you can make a talking raccoon and a talking tree cool, we're going to let you do whatever you want at that point. And it kind of has worked for them. And I don't care who you are. If you don't get a little bit of a tear in your eye when you hear those three words, "We are Groot."
Yep.
And I want to go off of that here. This whole movie is a story about friendship, and that there are very few of those in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That this is a start to finish story about friendship and these people coming together with one common goal. And that between the how lovable each of the characters were individually, where they ended up together at the end, and then on top of that, you add the soundtrack. I think this personally, this is top 5 Marvel for me. And I'm not using my veto. I'm allowing chaos to happen because I got this freaking guy.
Follow your heart.
Be your own man, Charlie.
Yeah.
I have been podcastily married to Andy for 4 years. I can't do that. If I'm talking about fucking friendship, I can't do that to Andy.
There it is. We got an F-bomb, guys. We got one.
But I'm happy it's on the list. I really, really wish it was higher.
I don't have anything really to add, but you said something, Charlie, that like this is a movie about friendship. I'll take it a step further than that. This is a movie about chosen family. And I think that's kind of a terminology that we're using a lot more these days.
Especially after trauma.
Yeah. And I think that's something that makes this movie so important. I too like this movie a lot more than where we have it, but I'm wanting to see how this plays out. How often do we get to see this happen? But yeah, I love this one. And I do like the sequel too, so I guess we'll see what happens.
Also, how much do we trust Melvin to not pick something even crazier at this spot? I think we have to throw that out there too. If someone vetoed you.
I mean, we have a team pick, so Marvel will just take it for himself.
It's true. It's already happened. All right. So we're going to head into pick number 15, which is for Team B, which is Backlot, and Sam's already handing it to me. So I feel good about this. Black Widow. Oh, we got a clap.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Sam?
I'm hearing the dissension in the room right now, and I just want to point out that the timing of this movie, yes, was piss poor. And I wish that it would have come out after Civil War when it was actually, supposed to. Like, Black Widow should have gotten her movie at like 5 years before this even happened. And, let's just give it up for Natasha Romanoff, Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff is one of the best characters in the MCU, undoubtedly. This movie had a lot to live up to, especially coming where it did, where her story arc had essentially ended. And it still got to introduce us to the character of Yelena, played beautifully by Florence Pugh. Incredible character. The opening of this movie caught me off guard because the opening of this movie is, for lack of a better term, it's a family drama. You don't even realize it's an action movie. You don't even realize it's an espionage movie until, 5 minutes into it. And it's the most gripping opening thing I've ever seen. And then the Nirvana soundtrack happens and the first 2 acts happen. And it's this espionage Jason Bourne type of thing. And I love it. And then the 3rd act kind of goes off the rails. But up until that point, I really love this movie. I think it's got a different type of action in it. And it's one of the only female-centric Marvel movies, and we should have more of those by now. So, yeah.
Is it the best female-centric Marvel movie?
No. Of the two?
Yeah. I mean, there is only 2.
Yeah.
Of the 2, it's easily the best. Right?
Yeah.
Will we?
And so, yeah, Black Widow's my pick, and I'm sticking with it.
I like that movie. To see on the list, I think it's needed. Maybe not at 15, but you pick it. He's talking about Black Widow being the best.
I don't want to hear anything from you, Melvin.
We're talking about a movie about friends becoming family. They're all Black Widows and not related, but then they become family sisters. I think this movie does that better than a little movie called Guardians of the Galaxy. So there you go. I will say, this movie had everything going against it. Like Sam said, it was delayed. It was supposed to come out right after Endgame to fill in that time frame. But then obviously something happened. I don't know what happened. Or 2 years. And they wouldn't put it out on their streaming service. They wanted to go to theaters, so they had to wait. And I think that really did a lot with expectations when because the movie's fine. It's a good action movie. The end does go off of the rails, but the end just becomes another Marvel movie. And so to say that the end goes off the rails is to say that half of these movies don't have good action sequences too. So.
I think a lot of the criticism comes from, like Sam said, when it came out. One, it should have came out right after Civil War. I mean, the character, spoilers for Endgame, died already. So it's why are we telling this story again? But it also comes out when Disney Plus is doing their thing with introducing the new Avengers. Falcon becomes Captain America. We have the new Hawkeye. And then you have this introducing a new Black Widow. I think it's the best of those type of introducing the new Avengers. So I think we should give it props for that. The movie's fine. I mean, it's not a great movie. But I think it should be on the list because we need to have either this or, like we kind of mentioned, the other female-centric Marvel-led movie. which should not be on this list. So I think Black Widow needs to be
named, right?
So
You mean
I
the
think
better
that
one? Put the better one
Yeah,
on
the
the
other
list?
one's better.
with this movie is such a mixed bag for me because it had a lot of really cool notes, but when I was anticipating a character such as Taskmaster and the rendition of how those abilities were portrayed, I was just kind of like, it's kind of a flat tire in that regard. However, I respect this movie more so for fleshing out the mythos of the Red Room and what it means to be a Black Widow. And honestly, look around the movie, there wasn't a lot of magic or superpowers going on. It's all skill. And I think that that's something that it's not necessarily street level. It was definitely high in the sky towards the end there with some aerial drama. But I actually liked it, you know, for throwing fists and stuff. And I thought it was a powerful character and she deserved it. So
I just want to say one thing before I hand this mic to Garrett. Sam and Casey both brought up this should have happened after Civil War, but they talked about the snap in this movie, so it couldn't have. Just so you don't get emails. Charlie, call for you. Oh wait, you guys are done.
I think the argument is that a Black Widow movie should have happened after Civil War.
Yes.
Not this specific Black Widow movie.
No. I do think this should have been the one. I'm glad they did wait because Florence Pugh should have been definitely needs to be in this movie. She wouldn't have been 5-6 years ago, whatever. But I think people would have had a higher, positive rating for this movie if it had come out when it was set.
I just didn't think the movie was that great. It's not even in my top 20. If it was going to make the list, I would hope that it was 16 or less. But so it's okay there. I would like to say, though, I don't think we need to say because it's women-centric. We need to say it's because it's a good movie.
Yeah.
I know one where it's like black people-centric, but it's a great movie, and it's probably going to be talked about later. So
Well, yeah.
I
That's
don't.
why I played this one lower. I know which one you're talking about. Yes, that one needs to be higher.
So yeah, we're basing it off good movies, so I think that's just the way we'll keep it, or I will, anyways.
I think one of the problems that we run into those because we bring up the fact that it came out too late. It didn't come out when it should have come out in terms of timeline of the movies. That I think that we didn't have the emotional investment in a character that we know was already going to die. So if this movie would have come out pre-Endgame, I think the expectations would be different and we would be looking at the movie differently than how we see it. Because, like I said, we didn't have the investment in the movie knowing how we already know how it's going to end. The advantage is we get David Harbour, we get Florence Pugh. Without it being when it was, then we wouldn't have gotten somebody like Florence Pugh in the movie to extend that out. So for me, it's a double-edged issue with how and when it came out.
Yeah. Again, I don't think it was a terrible movie.
No.
But I also loved a lot of the comedy in it. And anytime I think of the movie, I have to think of, why do you always pose like that?
Yes.
I really like this movie, but I think the hard part, like where it is at for me, is when I did the Budapest scene, and like we waited how long from Clint and Natasha talking about Budapest, and then we get like you don't even see Hawkeye. Not saying you needed to see Hawkeye, but I'm like we see 3 seconds and an explosion. And I was like, come on, like how cool would it have been to have like a Black Widow Hawkeye like taking down a bad guy for like 5 minutes. But anyhow.
We missed a chance here where Norman Osborn could have been paying Taskmaster to do this job.
Oh, don't get me started.
Well, I'm just saying, there could have been some big money brought into this movie. But you know what? Your Dark Avengers could have shown up down the line. You didn't have to put in, no offense to Willem Dafoe, fantastic actor. But this is where you would have put your MCU, Norman Osborn.
Alex, that does not make your movie picks an exclusion from my veto power. But I completely agree with you.
I respect your choice. If you do veto my choice, I will strongly dislike. I will throw the shield at somebody.
All right, gauntlets and shields may be thrown later on. Actually, the fact that Alex has been holding the shield for like an hour in and of itself is kind of a superhuman trait. I don't know.
Hey, we don't sleep with things at night. It keeps me safe.
It keeps me safe. Is it going to keep you safe from the next pick? Are we going to move on? We're moving on. We're keeping Black Widow at number 15. We're going to move on to number 14, which is Team A, Best Friends.
I would like to use my unvetoable swap position power up.
Whoa. We're going to swap positions here. Where do you want me?
We're going to move Homecoming from 19 to 14.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move those. Tell me why.
Because I'm going to play something at number 19.
No! Oh, no! You're kidding me!
That I believe is unbeatable. Is that correct? Is that the rule?
I believe that is accurate. Let's
Awesome.
see what movie this
Can
is.
I say it? I don't even want to give it to
Say
you.
it.
We already see it.
We know what it is.
At number 19, Andy of Fat Dude Digs Flicks plays Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Evil. Andy, you've hurt me deeply tonight. You've hurt me deeply.
One third of this movie is fantastic. And I would actually say this might have the best ending of any Marvel movie in a long time. When Sam Raimi, the Sam Raimi who directed The Quick and the Dead, gets a chance to flex his directorial muscles. Nobody laughed at the Sam. I didn't say Army of Darkness or Evil Dead. Okay. Sam Raimi gets a chance to flex his horror muscles and has an excellent conclusion to a lackluster movie. The rest of this movie is one of the messiest Marvel movies I have ever seen. You're throwing a lot of great pieces of Marvel kind of into a blender. Doctor Strange isn't even the most interesting part of his own movie. America Chavez has been introduced in this movie, who is just awesome and really feels a little let down by this movie. And then there's the Wanda of it all, which I know is a real hot button conversation. And yes, WandaVision set her up to go on this sojourn to become this villain. And Wanda in the comic books had a long run as a villain. Yes, I get that. But it feels like there is something happening here that we are not doing justice to the Wanda character. There has to be something there because she turned around. In the comic books, she turned around from villain to hero. And even though she at the end is like, I did something wrong, I should bring this all to an end, it feels like we are slapping her. Like we are just really treating this character with a level of disrespect that I'm just kind of not okay with. If it were a better movie and we still treated her that way, maybe it would make more sense, but it doesn't. It is a lackluster script, a sloppy with some really terrible dialogue. But again, this isn't a place to be negative, is it? It's a place to be positive. So let's talk about that third act, huh? Zombie Doctor Strange is the coolest. I'm going to use mine here.
Spoilers for Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah. Have you not seen this movie that's made 108 years? It's been out for a week. If you're watching this, I'm sure you've seen it. Is there anybody here who hasn't seen it? Okay, cool. Okay. Zombie Doctor Strange is the coolest thing ever. Like that whole zombie fight and just the scene where like the hands come up, the skeleton hands. Oh my God, that is awesome. It is a great third act. I wish it were in a better movie. And because of that, if I had my way, it wouldn't even be on the list. So coming in at number 19, I would say, no, I know, but somebody else will play it higher. So it made it to number 19, guys. That's great. A single player director, Sam Raimi's.
Oz the Great and Powerful director, Sam Raimi.
Oz the Great and Powerful. He made Oz the Great and Powerful with Oscar nominee Michelle Williams. I mean, come on, this guy's good stuff.
I can see John just biting his tongue over here. I think John, I know John and us feel very similar on this movie. This movie rules so hard.
It's one of the best in the MCU.
It is one of the best in the MCU, but the fact that Andy hates this movie so much,
makes you want to like
yet
it more.
still has played it twice, means he has a passion at least one way or the other for it. And Zombie Doctor Strange is incredible. As far as the Wanda stuff goes, I think she's one of the best characters in the MCU.
She's still great.
And how the
Bumbled her already in WandaVision, so who cares?
I disagree with that.
You're on your own island for that one.
The arc that she has in this movie is pretty on par for Wanda in the comics and in the MCU too, because we can only take so much out of the comics for these movies. But her character starts off as a villain, in the first movie makes a face turn like 20 minutes after her introduction. It's like, oh yeah, I'm an Avenger now. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Let's root for her. I think us as Marvel fans kind of have this way of like grasping onto the characters that we love so much. And it's like, oh no, why'd you go bad? Or it's like, I want you to succeed, even if it's pretty damn evil what you're doing. In this movie, I'm kind of rooting for Wanda at least a little bit. In terms of the third act, though, I'm like, no, you're kind of gone off the deep end. Let's put the Necronomicon away and, talk to Doctor Strange about this and figure this out. But as far as like the directing in this movie from Sam Raimi, the director of the 5-star classic Evil Dead 2, this is one of the best directed MCU movies, in my opinion. It at least has style, flair. It doesn't look like a boring, lifeless, paint by numbers, churn out Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Like,
not the beige background of the Civil War airport battle.
it's and I like this. I like Civil War a lot, and it's not that. It's Sam Raimi full on, and also Pizza Papa rules, guys. Pizza Papa rules. I'm just trying to get a rise out of Andy because I know he hates Pizza Papa. Yeah.
What? Yes, he does. He thinks it's Thor's
This
the whole
is the
MCU.
stupidest. Like, I get that Bruce Campbell has to appear in a Sam Raimi movie. It's kind of like contractually and friendshiply obligated. But good God, that was the stupidest. It derailed the movie. And then at the end, we're trying to pull a Ferris Bueller. It's over. Come on, let's not.
Who better to do that though than Bruce Campbell? And how else are you gonna introduce him in the MCU than Sam Raimi just saying, hey buddy, you want to be in my movie? It's a Marvel movie, but you're just gonna beat the shit out of yourself again because that's all I know how to do with you, and it's still funny 40 years later.
So I got to jump in here because this movie is actually, it intersects with a passion project of mine. I have a long box and 2 short boxes of the old books about the Darkhold and all of these characters. And so for me, I don't approach these movies really with, what am I seeing strictly on the screen, but rather, how does it reference it? And so for me, it's taking me back to my nerd Bible in a way. And there were a lot of exciting notes. It wasn't perfect. I'll give you that. Is it a spot 19? Andy. We're not gonna. I'm just kidding with you. But yeah, and so for someone like me, I'm just delighted to see it on the big screen, and it was done rather well. Sure, there's movies out there that maybe aren't so well that won't be on this list. But I think that it had a lot of stylistic notes to it, especially with the presence of the Darkhold. Wanda's portrayal was awesome. The Zombie Strange was great, and I think we can all agree that she stole the show. And that blows my mind. This is not a Doctor Strange movie at all. So, yeah, when you're a byproduct of your own situation, go step your game up, Stephen. So.
Andy, I want to applaud you on bringing chaos to this list. So I do appreciate the move. But
I think I'm wrong.
Once you made fun of the Quick and the Dead, I blacked out.
No, I wasn't mocking it. Like, I named the first 3 were good Sam Raimi movies. For Love of the Game, Quick and the Dead, Simple Plan. Chef's kiss.
All right. Quick and the Dead is good.
So my kind of opinion of a Doctor Strange was, it's not a Marvel movie. It's 2 hours of Marvel content. It starts at the beginning and goes all the way through, and it never stops. Most Marvel movies follow into the 3 acts. This one really didn't. I mean, it really just kind of went straight from the beginning and just kept going. And I'm okay with that. I thought it was a fun ride. I have no problem with it. But the bad thing that I just kind of bothered me was, unless you saw WandaVision, it didn't necessarily make sense. Yep. And all the other Marvel movies so far, even if you haven't watched the other ones, there's enough that you can pick up on it and it makes sense. This one was just kind of like, oh, by the way, here's this character. Well, what's going on? She had kids? I didn't see that in the last movie. And I think it just maybe some people were possibly confused because not everyone has Disney+.
I'm going to piggyback off of that and just give 2 thoughts. First, I'll start with a positive. I will say, as a music nerd and someone who works in this world, the music fight was one of the coolest things I've ever seen, because even with the score, they manipulated Beethoven's Fifth, which everyone kind of knows, and like rearranged it musically to fit the score and like the fight, and I just thought that was so cool. However, I don't fully get behind Wanda's motivation, and I didn't in WandaVision either, because she didn't even like have sex with Vision to make these kids. Like, it wasn't even like an act of love. They just manifested. And then she was so upset that they were gone. But like, she has this brother who she grew up with and had to go through torture in a lab, who gets wiped out in Avengers 2, and she didn't give a shit about him. But these two like hologram kids she does, like, that just doesn't make sense to me.
I won either. That Pietro was awful. Oh, it's yeah. Oh.
Wasting, and we'll talk about WandaVision for 2 seconds. Wasting that cameo joke was no. I didn't like this movie.
I liked the movie a lot, and I'm one of the ones that thought it should be way up there. But I'm gonna agree with the Wanda thing. The character I'm seeing in the MCU with Wanda is just kind of weird, but I know she's so powerful. Like, she could do whatever she wants, really, and they've contained her, if you ask me, and that's one thing I don't like about her character. But I want to talk about Morbius a little bit, because you remember that was supposed to be kind of a horror superhero movie. This one kicked that one's ass.
Oh, yeah. and then you meet
she was chasing him and that thing. I'm like, ooh. and then the fight scene in the alternate universe where some people's heads explode and stuff. Like, holy cow, this was amazing.
It's the best use of Black Bolt in any
alone
live
should put
action
this at like number 5. I'm just saying.
We have been waiting so long to see the Illuminati in the MCU, and that's what they did.
Yes, yeah.
Bringing those characters.
That's the best sequence in that movie, and I'll fight anyone who says otherwise.
This is our Weasel.
I'm done talking about this movie. I want to move on.
They established in that movie that when you have dreams, it's your other version, what's happening in that universe. So Reed Richards is going to wake up and have a nightmare, and he's going to put a team together because he said, "Look at this."
I like that.
And that's what's going to happen in the Fantastic Four movie that was already announced. You think that's it for Reed Richards, Charlie?
That's a good theory. Probably the Illuminati. That's all.
By the way, I like that you brought up, Ken, that it's a 2-hour basically chase movie, similar to our friend Michael Bay doing Ambulance.
Oh, nice. Well, Andy's really upset everybody here with swapping positions of Homecoming.
I usually like
Yeah.
I'm usually the likable, nice guy.
It's okay. It's fun to be the villain.
The rest of the countdown, I hope.
We don't
He's
know.
this podcast Wanda.
Yeah, you're all
What am I?
all right.
Somebody wrote me wrong this time.
All right, well, we're going to move on now to pick number 13, which is Team C. And Melvin is eating a Pop-Tart, so possibly Alex and Garrett will have a chance to chat about that.
Whose pick was this?
Alex?
13.
We have Shang-Chi.
She. Better than Denny Villeneuve. Shang-Chi.
Dennis
Dennis Villeneuve.
Sure is.
Tell me about it, Alex.
You know what? Simplistically put, we get into Phase 4. We get some new characters that, honestly, I don't give two shits about because they are not the captain himself. But it's fine. It's fine. I'll get over it. Whatever. But this movie was enjoyable. I went to go see it. No, I didn't go spend any money. I watched it on Disney Plus. Thank you, Disney Plus. I enjoyed it. I mean, my wife didn't watch it. She doesn't care too much about these movies, whatever. There is one movie she has watched at least 5 times with me because it is number 1. I will not tell you, but you will know it when I veto your number 1. Honestly, it's a fun little run. It's got its kind of picky things. 10 rings. We've already met them 12 different times, and they all seem to change. But we finally get to see the 10 rings. We finally get to see the Mandarin. And I did have one complaint about his rings. They should be on your hands, not on your arms. But other than that, there's nothing to not enjoy. You get to see some. Hey. There's things that are good.
I could listen to you talk about movies all day, man.
I've told you before the show even started. I'm going to tell you when it's wrong, and there are good things about it. There are bad things about it. You're going to leave it at 13, I'm sure, because no one's vetoed it yet. You're still letting me talk.
Yeah, I mean, the movie's fine. I just, I kind of have the same criticism with this movie as I do with Black Widow and Phase 4 in general, is that it's all very forced and it's too late. Like, we should have had this representation earlier with the Mandarin, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't happen at a good time where I felt very invested in these characters. And I'm a little on the fence with Awkwafina as an actress also as well. Take that for what it's worth. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about that.
Okay, Andy's about to explode.
So
I really enjoyed this one, and I thought this was a very pleasant surprise as to how much I enjoyed this. This is a balls to the wall kung fu movie.
until it's not.
MCU. Shut up, Sam.
I-
This is, I probably have the same criticisms as everybody else does.
Yeah.
With the ending. However, the ride to get there was so much fun, and I really enjoyed the cinematic experience of this as well. Seeing this in the theater with, especially when they're driving through to find I forget the name of the city they're trying to find now, but
Kunlo.
yeah, thank you. I thought that was very cool to see on the screen. It was a lot of fun, and then seeing all of the hand-to-hand combat mixed with all of the side-to-side camera shots. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with this being in this spot. I really enjoy this movie. I will say, as someone who has a crush on Awkwafina, like a celebrity crush on Awkwafina, I mean, I still kind of get it. Like, she's kind of obnoxious. But Sam, if you're listening, I kind of like obnoxious girls, right? But yeah, I think I think this is a lot of fun. Hi, Sam.
Andy, I hope you got another hotel for tonight.
We'll go a lot cheaper tonight. No, I think this is a lot of fun. I think the hand-to-hand combat is really what makes it so much fun. That bus scene is crazy. I love the bus sequence. I love the building sequence.
Yes.
The scaffolding, like, it is awesome. A ton of fun to watch. I think having Tony Leung in the MCU, what? Like, this is a guy who is in Wong Kar-wai films, like very moody, atmospheric Taiwanese films. And here he is as this villain in the MCU, and he is just like, guess what? I rule. Now you get to find out why. Yeah, I really like this movie a lot, but I'm perfect with it being here. There are some other movies that are better.
Yeah, this is around where I have it on my personal. I really like this movie for the fact that, like, I like this movie for a lot of the same reasons I like Black Widow, and the fact that, like, the action, at least for the first 2 acts, is very different than what we've seen in the MCU before. This is a very well done kung fu movie. Both of the action sequences that you mentioned, Andy, are incredible. I think once you get to the third act, it starts to lose that a little bit. It becomes kind of like the typical Marvel onslaught of, you know, you've got 2 dragons fighting each other, which is awesome, but it kind of loses some of the, like, gritty, like, tension that was in the earlier parts of the movie. Fair. But yeah, you know, I like this. I think this is a perfect spot for it. And yeah.
I thought it was a good way not to go formulaic with an origin story. Like a typical Marvel origin movie, we'd see this kid as a kid. We'd see him growing up, becoming the master kung fu that we know. But, you know, you bring up the dragons, and I get super excited because I think it, like, pushes the boundaries for MCU. Like, it expands that world, because that means Fin Fang Foom can come. So that should happen in the Shang-Chi sequel, since Iron Man's dead.
I was going to agree. The third act, even though it does take a movie that was kung fu based, but not really. I mean, it does escalate into more mysticism as it goes on, and so by the time it gets to the end, I think it earns the dragons. And I do like the inclusion of all that. And I will say the Awkwafina comic, she is amazing in the Farewell. And I think that she is actually, I was surprised in how tempered she was in this movie compared to other movies. So I disagree. As Katie, she's perfect.
My takeaway that something hasn't been brought up was myself. I think this is one of the most redeeming things for Ben Kingsley in the MCU. And I was afraid that they were going to bring him in for that 10-second cameo just to link it to Iron Man 3 to give a full-fledged Trevor and Morris, and everybody wants a Pet Morris after that. I absolutely love Ben Kingsley in this, and I'm so glad that they gave him a chance to be able to be the Trevor that everybody hated from Iron Man 3. And they made us want to have more of him.
And Morris. Morris is my favorite.
Morris is your spirit animal.
He is. I love Morris.
So I was to kind of piggyback off of that. That's what I was going to say. Is it took one of my, and since we're not going to probably discuss it since it's no longer available, one of my personal least favorite Marvel movies, Iron Man 3, and redeems it a little bit in my mind because Trevor Slattery, I'm sorry, is probably one of my favorite comic relief characters, side characters from any of the MCU movies.
I was worried for him in Shang-Chi because I thought the biggest offense to the actual Mandarin would be a fake Mandarin, so I thought he was going to die, but I guess he gets to stick around, which is great, but I thought that would have been such a huge power move for the villain to actually take out the guy that like was pretending to be the Mandarin. But it never happened, so I guess I'm seeing a little darker.
In a post Endgame world that we're in now, it's kind of hard to have these solo movies, like we said with Black Widow, and I think that's one of the biggest strengths of this movie is like we all at least enjoyed it and wanted to see Shang-Chi and more of him, because that was my biggest takeaway after watching this is like, God, I can't wait for him to meet the rest of the characters we already love because I love him now. Unlike a movie that's at number 20 where I don't care if any of those non-named characters meet any of the Avengers. So you might be the only one. Yeah, Shang-Chi rules. It's a ton of fun. It does become like a basic Marvel movie at the end, but I don't know. I think the action scenes in the first 2/3 are really great, and it needs to be on this list. I think that's something that keeps coming up of certain movies that just need to be here. Shang-Chi needs to be on this list.
I think this one's going to age better than some of the ones that have come out over the last several years. I think over time, this Eternals.
You guys played?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we did. Sam played Baby's Day Out once.
It's true.
Baby's Day Out is better than Eternals.
Moving on.
Okay,
I don't know how I feel about that statement.
we're gonna
You're
leave,
on your own island there.
We're gonna leave Shang-Chi at number 13. We're gonna go to number 12, and we already have the pick here. It looks like from Dan. We're gonna go ahead and do. Oh gosh, let's have Corey say it.
Please don't, Corey.
Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok. All right, tell us why, Dan.
So anything with Thor and Loki is just going to be good, and then combine it with Hulk and Thor. Their chemistry is just great, I think, overall. I don't feel like this movie belongs in the top 10. I also don't believe it below should be too low. Overall, I think we get to see Jeff Goldblum, which is just absolutely fantastic. He doesn't really do anything, but I'm like, I love it. I could watch some more of it.
Goldblum doesn't need to do anything. He's just there, and it's great.
It's Jeff Goldblum.
Exactly.
He's just Jeff Goldblum.
One thing I was kind of interested in seeing what would happen, though, is because in the comics, I know when Hulk is in this world and he is fighting, his family gets destroyed, which creates World Breaker Hulk, and becomes the most powerful he's ever been, and he comes back to kill the Illuminati. So maybe in another universe we'll get to see this all happen. But they didn't go that route. Overall, the movie's beautiful, the music's great, and it kind of has that Guardians feel when it comes to the music and everything. So in middle of the pack, I think it's really good. It could be higher, it could be a little bit lower to some people. I think it's a good spot for it.
I would agree. I mean, it makes Thor not a dumb brute that's kind of like on the side that makes like stupid jokes. It makes his character interesting and like a lot of character development, especially going into Infinity War and Endgame. This was before Infinity War, right? Yeah. So
like
I would say
before.
I'm pretty sure, but I think it made Thor interesting because if you go back and watch Thor 2, if you God forbid, he's just dull. And so I think it's like that's why like when Thor and Love and Thunder is coming out, it's like it looks fresh and looks exciting because they're doing more with the character instead of just this 2D version of Thor you know. So.
Now, this one, it wasn't my pick, but this is actually where I would have had this movie as number 12 because I just thought it was so unique the way that they did it with the color scheme. It just so much like the comics from the 60s and everything. Was it Kirby who did that? And just that style, I just thought they really brought that out. And just frankly, I think Hela was underused. I mean, she was just kind of, ooh, I'm this big bad, and then she's gone. So I kind of would be happy if they could somehow bring Hela back somehow in the MCU as a villain, because I think she was underplayed, and I would like to see her actually really do a little bit more butt kicking there.
Mephisto's coming at some point, so she has a chance.
Wasn't Hela their sibling in this one? Which that was weird. I mean, when we have the whole Infinity Saga happening, like you're like that's supposed to be the reason the Infinity Gauntlet's even happening. It's because of the love for Hela. But yeah, they completely changed that.
Yeah. She's death. It was death herself in the comic books,
Yeah.
not the goddess of death. She was legitimately just death that Thanos wanted to impress.
Okay. I think we might say the same thing. This should be higher. It should just be on the list. Yeah, it does. It makes Thor interesting, which is something even in the previous two Avengers movies before this. He's kind of just like, oh, he's Thor, the God of Thunder. He's cool. It's like, what do we know about Thor, really? And I like Thor, the Dark World. I might be the only one on this panel that actually likes that movie. Yeah, it's better than the first one. Yes, Alex, you want to be friends?
Yes, I do.
Let's do it. Yeah, this movie rules. Again, it does take that kind of Guardians of the Galaxy vibe, but adds this like Taika Waititi flair to it. Also, Incredible Hulk in this movie, who is one of my favorite characters even before the MCU. They actually, again, make him interesting, give him something to do. We get a bit of the Planet Hulk in this too, which is such a shame because we haven't gotten an actual Hulk sequel. This is the closest thing we've gotten to it. So that's really nice. And I hope we get more of him down the road. Because Mark Ruffalo is a ton of fun as Hulk. And it's always great to see him and Thor have such great chemistry together. Kind of something you would not really expect between the two that are in the Avengers movies, kind of very similar, especially that first one. It's like, you guys kind of do a lot of the same thing. You're the muscle. But here they at least give them distinct characters and identities and pay off the Avengers Age of Ultron kind of stinger of him going off into space.
Well, I'll even say is the fact that, as they expanded the characters and the people to bring in this movie, everybody has good chemistry. Like, I enjoyed, Tessa Thompson versus Chris Hemsworth versus, Mark Ruffalo and all that. And just everybody seems to gel very well.
Yeah, if this is the closest thing we ever get to a Planet Hulk movie, I guess I'll be happy. Yeah, exactly. I do love all the stuff with the gladiator ring. I think that's brilliant. I love the fight between Thor and Hulk. I think it's one of the best sequences in all of the MCU. I love the costuming in this movie. Like, no one talks about how awesome Taika Waititi, his costuming department does in these movies. I cannot wait for Thor Love and Thunder. I can't wait for more of this because this is honestly maybe top 3 for me, but I'm okay. We've got a strategy and I'm sticking to it.
I'm actually with you on that, Sam. This is top 5. And I'm just going to echo what you guys say because I subscribe very hard to Taika's brand of humor.
Yes.
And I'm also a sucker for B-list characters. And Korg and Meek,
Yes.
they kind of stole my heart in this movie. So I do think this one should be higher. And aside from the after credit ending with just kind of the doom and gloom coming, I thought this had probably the best scenario for a happy ending for the from the prior 3 Thor movies. So
Instead of 30 seconds later when Thanos showed up.
That's what I said. Aside from the doom and gloom, yes.
He was trying to keep his spoilers.
Oh, I don't want to do that.
I think this movie should be higher, but if it's going to be on the list, this is not a bad place for it. I think this movie is funny and action-wise, it is great. It does Guardians better than Guardians did, and this movie, this style, can stick around in the MCU, and I will enjoy it as long as they want to do that kind of style.
Rock on. Looks like we're leaving Thor and Ragnarok there. And we're going to head to number 11, back to Team D. We're going to get another movie here. Wonder what movie that's going to be. It's going to be one I can say. Good. Avengers Age of Ultron. Ultron.
You almost got it.
Oh, that was close, guys. Tell us about it, John. Why'd you pick that?
Lou, I feel your pain. I get it. They make me do the awards ones. I get it.
So this one, I wanted it on the list. Ultron, there are no strings on me. Visualization of that decrepit armor, those failed Iron Man suits. I always root for the bad guy, and this made me so happy, and it made my cold heart quite warm. I want more of this character, and I can watch this movie over and over again. There's so many characters, there's so much going on, but they did it well. Opening sequence was hot with the team. We just got off the hype of seeing the team first assembled, and wow, here we are again. And Ultron, even he held his own, and he was cold and calculating and everything I would have wanted. My favorite scene and one of those darker moments was just seeing him crush Jarvis. It was just one of my favorite things ever. I don't know. It just makes me happy.
Can we get the Black Widow song also here for the Hulk?
Yeah.
Thank you.
John, thank you for playing this.
Yeah.
Thank you for playing this.
Are you an Ultron apologist?
I am.
Yes.
I think this is a severely underrated MCU movie, especially upon a rewatch. I've enjoyed it more and more the more I've seen it. Ultron, I think, is a very underrated villain in the MCU, and I think that alone deserves a spot on this list.
Go ahead, Sam.
I want to keep heaping praise on this before y'all poop on this party. Yeah, Ultron is like one of the greatest villains in the MCU. I love the team dynamic. I love how it's just you're dropped right into it. There's none of the exposition and the like how are we going to get the team together that the first Avengers has. Like within the first 5 minutes you have that awesome like one shot of them all fighting like Hydra Nazis in the woods, and there's the awesome freeze frame of like all of them leaping together, and I just visually it's such a cool movie. It's one of the last until like you get to like the later stuff that we're seeing now, it's one of the last to me visually inventive movies until something like Guardians 2 or Thor Ragnarok. I dig this. I think everything with Hulk is incredible except for the Black Widow thing. But like the Hulk rampage and the Hulkbuster fight is, I mean, I'm sorry, like as a massive Hulk fan, like that's the coolest thing ever. I love that scene. Yeah, anyone can fight me. I love this movie. It's maybe my second favorite Avengers movie behind Endgame, to be honest.
I think, though, it comes too quick after the first Avengers. I think we had so much build up to Avengers 1 that when we got to Age of Ultron, like we were just coming off that high and had a couple individual movies. I think it was just bad timing. I don't think it's a bad movie, but I felt like I'm always about character development, as you probably see. So like I just felt like Age of Ultron, they were a little flat. Like they didn't, besides Hulk had a great storyline in there, but everybody else was kind of just doing the same thing. And they didn't learn from Avengers 1. We're supposed to work as a team, because obviously that's why shit hit the fan in Age of Ultron. Ultron would have been great to stick around longer. Also, everyone knows what the Marvel villain problem, they kill them all off, because it was definitely not an Age of Ultron. It was a weekend of Ultron.
Weekend of Ultron. Let's bring him back like Weekend at Bernie's. Oh, there are no strings on me. Thank you, Alex.
Do you want to poo on it first or me?
Oh, okay, you can go.
I think this is the weakest of the Avengers movies. I sort of agree. I sort of agree with what Garrett just said of how this movie came out too close to the first one, but yet I like that in the first part of this movie. It's like, oh, cool, the Avengers are already together, kicking ass. But then in the grand scheme of this, and then kind of going back to Ultron, it's a pretty inconsequential movie in the rest of the MCU, especially the Avengers movies, where Ultron doesn't come back at all. We don't ever get to see him again. I don't love this interpretation of Ultron. I think he's fine. I like the introduction of Wanda. Like I said earlier with my joke about Pietro, who cares about Quicksilver in this movie? And when he dies, it's like, cool, I don't care that you died.
It's like they did that on purpose, honestly.
Yeah, especially right after this is Days of Future Past, I think is like the year before. And we get that scene with that Quicksilver. It's like, yeah, Marvel, you probably should have just maybe not put him in this movie at all. Yeah, I don't love this movie. I think the Hawkeye stuff kind of derails it a little bit for me. I know the big controversy was like, do we do the Hawkeye stuff or the Thor stuff? I would have rather had the Thor stuff because Hawkeye he's just boring in the MCU. Even I thought we were friends.
The Hawkeye stuff is incredible.
No, he's just really boring. He's such a boring character in the MCU, and I know in the comics he's much more lively and entertaining.
Hang on, you're telling me you'd rather watch Thor in the tub bubbling up his own water with the electricity?
You wouldn't want to watch Chris Hemsworth in a tub?
Oh yeah, in a tub. I'd rather watch the dude shoot the chick in the face with the tub.
I could definitely tell you a few people that would rather watch that.
We all have our preferences. That definitely is not my. I'd rather watch the guy throw big sticks at people than have a big stick.
Is it too much to ask for both?
I do miss a good hot tub ketchup scene. Oh, the Infinity Stones.
I will say the fact that I do appreciate the introduction of Andy Serkis's Claw, because give me anything with Serkis in it, and I'm going to at least try to enjoy it. I didn't bring up Batman. You did.
Sure.
All right, Melvin.
I will say, not only is this movie poorly directed, it has a weak script that is all over the place. You waste the character of Black Widow being Hulk's babysitter. You have Ultron, who suffered from the Guardians of the Galaxy thing I said before, making him too funny.
Yes.
And I pointed at you because you said you like to hear. And everybody else is just there. The story, his plan is to lift the ground and slam it into the ground. What a boring. The man hacked into the internet, can do anything, and he says, you know what? Ground, floor, let's go. He could shut down the whole infrastructure. They could go into the dark ages. No, ground, let's do it. And in the city, like he just picked some random city out of nowhere that happens to be this place where
it's because he's in the temple at the. It's because there's a temple in the middle of the city that's elevated and it's higher above. He's closer to God in that, and that's why. Okay, it doesn't make sense, but still.
And it introduces two characters that should have waited a little bit, or at least introduced them and actually have her have real magic. And they explained it by like they touched the Infinity Stone or the one of the stones, and were miracles and stuff. What a horrible way to bring those two in. It's too long and it's boring, and I'm gonna veto it.
Okay, well.
Minutes of discussion.
That's cool.
Melvin, you could have just done that. Why don't you get happy for a second?
Good.
You let us get happy for too long.
That just happened, so that's been vetoed. Avengers Age of Ultron is now off the
I
board.
feel like I just got kicked in the throat.
That is the best play from Melvin this entire game so far.
Yeah, 12 minutes ago, this was your pick of comic book.
Yeah, it was a good pick till it wasn't. So here we are, back to another
I
pick
didn't want to
here.
play this early, but
Oh, John's got something special here. Let's go ahead and open it up. Avengers, the first one.
Yes.
So we're going to replace Age of Ultron with the first one. John, tell us why.
I'm gonna keep this one short, although Marvin's out of vetoes. Like I said, just seeing that team get assembled, this was something that we haven't seen on the big screens before, and it was rather exciting. I remember those good old midnight showings and seeing these guys at the movie theater, and oh man, yeah, that was some good times. And so for me, this movie, it just really encompasses what Marvel was showing us that they're capable of at the time. it was excitement. It was a ton of fan service. They did it well. Visually speaking, like when you watch the high def version on a good TV, it's painful. But that's okay. I really respect Avengers 1. I wanted this higher on the list, but you forced my hand.
Well, this is one, like, we've all talked about how a lot of the first 2/3 of the movie is really good, and the last third suffers. I think it flips in this movie. Like, if you do it on rewatch, the first 2/3 are so damn boring.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you get to the third one, you're like, oh, yeah, this is good. But man, it took forever to get here. So I think the third act is great. I mean, just like you said, Midnight Premieres.
Yeah, that was rough.
For sure.
Yeah.
In this movie.
It should be on the list.
Oh, I was just gonna say I did have it higher because you have the culmination or the something comes to fruition. We waited so long, and we're spoiled now. But back then, it was like we had Iron Man and we got to see Thor's hammer sitting there. We're like, oh, we're gonna get to see Thor, And then next thing you know, there's a couple of them in one movie. We're like, this is getting awesome. And then finally, it happened, and we were like, yes, it happened. So I agree that it should have been higher because it was the biggest bring together we've seen. And we'll probably never have anything like it again. But that action scene where they're in New York and they did the little panorama spin around them, and we're like, classic. Thank God. It's the Avengers. Let's go.
I think for a movie that's only 10 years old this year, it's the most nostalgic of the MCU to go back to. Because I agree, the first 2/3 are kind of boring, but it has this nostalgic place of, oh my God, Captain America and Iron Man are sharing the screen together, having a conversation and an argument with each other, which we'll see throughout their entire tenure together in these movies. And it's also like very nostalgic to go back and see much like S.H.I.E.L.D. was a thing at this point, and now they're just not. They just don't care. And we're at the point like introducing like Phil Coulson in this, who gets his own entire spin-off series that is not in the MCU, is in the MCU. Like, who knows? It's in the multiverse. It's in the multiverse, I guess. The best version of the Inhumans is in that, so we get that multiverse version. I think this movie is a ton of fun, though. Still going back to it, it gives you exactly everything you want. You have Loki introduced as the bad guy in this, and then you have the Avengers teaming up, and that iconic shot of the circle around them. It's incredible. Hulk smash is still like one of the biggest like fist pumping moments of the entire MCU, and like the after credit scene of like Thanos just looking back at the camera. It's like, oh my God, who is this guy? What's he gonna do? And then we get to see what he does, and it's like, yeah, I'm glad we planted the seeds that far back.
Did we learn Hulk's secret in this movie also?
That he's always angry.
I don't think there's a whole lot that hasn't been said about this movie that won't be said throughout the entire countdown, to be honest. So I'm kind of like, I mean, we're going to be talking about all these characters. And it was a great moment.
Yeah, this movie's great. Phase 1 rules. So yeah.
In terms of movie history, it should be on the list for all the reasons stated already. I think when you initially see it, the 2/3 is important. It's exposition, setting up things that, like you said, the culmination of all this they've been building to is the first time, possibly in movie history, that this has happened while the movie's leading to a team movie like this. And so that's needed. On the look back, when you go back and rewatch it, it is a little boring because they're just basically introducing you to these characters again. In case you didn't see the rest of the movies, they're introducing you to these characters again in situations that they're in until they finally get to the New York scene. And I think, it deserves a place in this list for historical purposes.
Okay, guys, we've reached hour 3 of the countdown here. How's everybody doing? And we finally reached the top 10. So at number 20, we have the Eternals. We have at number 19, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. At number 18, we have Iron Man 2. I don't know why, but that's okay. Number 17, Ant-Man in really tiny letters. Number 16, Guardians of the Galaxy. I love that movie, but whatever. Number 15, Black Widow. Number 14, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 13, Shang-Chi. Number 12, Thor Ragnarok. And number 11, Avengers. The first one, back when we liked Joss Whedon. So we have finally moved on to the top 10. Are you guys ready for this? Have you wet yourselves yet? Okay. So at number 10, Team A, what's your choice?
Come to us, Jake has
Dennis Villanueva.
We must be living on a prayer, guys. We are halfway there. Corey's coming back with the pick for number 10.
What like quarter do they put in you?
What do you mean?
Exactly.
I've had a pack and a half of cigarettes while I've been standing here. You haven't noticed. And I'm also Spider-Man. Far From Home.
Sam.
So, who wants to talk about Spider-Man?
Oh my God.
Sam, come on. Veto.
I can't without their approval, and I don't think
What are we doing here? We're vetoing this movie.
I was going to be outnumbered, so I was not even going to chime in.
We knew that was going to happen.
This movie sucks.
If it makes you feel better, I just didn't say anything because I knew I was outnumbered by these two. So
I want to take 1 second to defend one sequence.
It could be played higher, so let's move on. I just want to throw that out. It could be played higher.
It could be played higher.
So
The Mysterio sequence where it's like going through the crazy going through the crazy illusions.
Yes.
That's a badass scene.
Yeah.
Like
It's the only good
and
scene.
It's super cool to have that scene. Like it feels like for me that was comic book covers come to life.
Yep.
And so I have a hard time hating on this movie just because of that one sequence. I like the rest of it too. It's fine. But yeah, this is the lesser of the Spider-Man movies for me.
Andy, when you say things like that, you almost redeemed yourself for your sins against Doctor Strange Multiverse.
I'm redeemed because
Almost.
I'm a good person, John.
But well played. Well done.
hey, the fact we get to see Evil Ralphie as well, I mean, is a reason why we need to see this.
And he's bald.
And he's bald.
I mean, I will just say again, I stand Spider-Man very hard. I love the teachers in this movie, J.B. Smoove and Hannibal Buress, and the guy from Freaks and Geeks. I'm blanking on his name. Thank you. But yeah, I just really love these movies, so I played it strategically.
Go ahead, Corey.
Strategery.
Strategery.
Okay, so the new number 10 is Captain America: Civil War.
See, I can
What? I know. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. Why you like this movie so much?
Well, I mean, it's the technical Avengers 3 kind of a situation.
2.5.
And yeah, and it was well placed, I think. And it gave us our rebooted Spider-Man. I'll just get that out of the way. I love Tom Holland. But it also gave us Ant-Man addressing Captain America, which was just a blessed event. And I'm also a huge fan of the original Civil War comics. So it was really cool to see some of those scenes come to life, like with the arc reactor shooting off the shield. And I really love the Captain America movies, not to show my hand too much. So getting Bucky back in there and sort of getting his redemption and setting up Sam, as being a part of that squad. It's just so much fun. I love this movie a lot, but it's not my favorite. It's a solid 10.
Baron Zemo.
Yes.
Black Panther.
I'm sorry, I didn't mention that.
This is the debut of Black Panther, and the screen debut of Black Panther, and it is perfect. It's a great way to introduce the character that made you super excited to see where the movie was going to go, and the movie's hopefully pretty good.
Also, can we point out that Tony Stark's plot in this movie is totally full of shit? As far as what side he's on and who he recruits to his team. He's like, I'm going to get this 16-year-old kid. He don't have to reveal who he is. What? Why? Why are we doing this? Besides that, this movie rules. I love Civil War. It's one of I consider it more an Avengers movie than a Captain America movie. I think most people do. But he is the main character of this movie. He is still dealing with the most struggle as the biggest arc of the movie. And the fight between Iron Man and Captain America at the end of the movie. I mean, we talked about the airport scene already and how horrible it looks. It's still cool to see like hero teams running at each other and fighting with each other, and seeing Spider-Man mix it up with Captain America. But the like emotional fight at the end of this movie is incredible, and that's still something that just sticks out in my mind of the MCU is seeing Iron Man and Captain America fight each other and just go at it. Because you do tell that there is this respect that they have for each other, but also this, no, we're complete opposite sides of this, dude. If we have to throw fists, we're going to throw fists. Yeah, this movie rules. Great introductions for all the characters that it's introducing. Giant Man is so much fun.
I was just going to say, one of my favorite Ant-Man moments is when he gets big and he goes,
Well, like,
can we talk about how that got spoiled by Funko?
Right. Well,
I bought the Funko because it got. I'm like, Giant Man, I'm gonna get it.
and Charlie, you commented about how like Marvel likes to lean into the comedy and whatnot, and that's one thing I do like about Civil War is we have the very dramatic, hard press, ending with Tony and Steve, but at the same time too, I like the comedy that they put into the airport scene with Paul Rudd's Giant Man, but also playing into the fact that Spider-Man is just a kid who is out-leagued by all these people, his senior, to the point where he's making the Star Wars reference because he's not quite sure how to explain it, but how do we bring down Giant Man, but to be like how they brought down the AT-ATs in Star Wars.
Yeah, this movie rules. I'm a massive Cap fan. My shield is bigger.
Okay. Not get into a shield measure.
It only looks bigger because you're smaller.
Hey, whatever works.
Side by side.
This movie it continues Steve's arc so well, and I think the people's complaints about Multiverse of Madness is that Scarlet Witch's motivations are unclear. With Civil War, when you come into this, you know exactly where Steve and Tony are coming from. Like, there is absolutely, like, if they were real people, yeah, this is absolutely how this would play out. I think both Tony and Steve are just so perfectly written in the MCU as a whole, but especially here. It's not my favorite Captain America movie, but it is absolutely one of my favorite Marvel movies. I love Civil War, and this movie rules. I would even go as far as to say I could put it higher, but it is what it is, right?
All right, I think we're moving on. I think we're going to move on to our number 9 pick, which is from Backlot. What do we got, boys? Brian's madly shuffling through his cards.
I don't know.
We don't know what's going to happen here. Anything can happen. We have a lot of vetoes left. We have a lot of power-ups left. And we have a lot of space left on the board. But what are we going to fill number 9 with? We don't know yet, guys. Pretty exciting stuff here. Looks like the team is discussing.
That's what we get for not cleaning on our cards.
Looking for a team decision, although it's an individual decision right now.
I know.
So you really could do whatever you wanted.
Hey, this list has already been blown up, so you just
The list has been blown up. There's been a couple little surprises here and there.
People stop tuning in after.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
All right, we got a pick from Brian, and it is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And I can't tell if Jess is happy or mad about it. I'm not sure, but there's a noise happening. Jess, what's up?
That should be.
Did you just shuffle the deck and pick a random one?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I'm just gonna say, put it wherever the fuck you want. It's one of the best movies, not even just in the MCU. It's like, yeah. Anyway, fuck that.
That's two. Brian, explain yourself.
She also used stamps.
I haven't even used one, and I've been the most heated out of everybody.
I guess
Everybody always says I'm the potty mouth, but I'm never the one swearing on the live shows.
bullshit.
I know when the cameras are rolling, when to not swear. You know.
No, I mean, I honestly, I mean, myself personally, I don't know where it falls with other people and whatnot. It's one of those movies I want to know, make sure that gets on a list. Because I think especially for Sebastian Stan, going from just being Bucky to being the Winter Soldier, I think was a great turn from the first Avenger to Winter Soldier. And I've loved his character that they've done throughout the entire MCU. Just overall, I mean, again, it's just the biggest thing is I just want to make sure it's on a list.
This movie is top 3 worthy, and I don't know, it seems too low. If we had our video left, we would be using it right now. I'm not only disgusted.
Well, that's a good thing that we have.
Oh!
Good job.
It deserves to be higher because this is one of the Marvel movies that stands out because it is different and it is from beginning to end fantastic.
If I may, I could have promised you this movie would have made top 3, 4, anything higher than this. I judge you so hard.
Dude, you've been judging me for like 20 years.
Hey, this is the most I've judged you right here, right now. My heart hurts, and I almost would want to call out Charlie and that team over there. You know the shit out of this.
To defend my teammate, he made the
Wrong
best.
choice, Casey.
No. I don't disagree. This is a top 5 Marvel movie for me, but we are at a point in this game where movies just have to start making a spot on this list. Otherwise, they're not going to make it. We have 8 movies that won't be on the list at all. We could have Winter Soldier not make this list. That being said, I want to know if you guys are going to veto it.
I'm going to use my veto. Our team's veto on Captain America: Winter Soldier. This is a top 5, top 3, top 2 potentially, top 3 Marvel movie. It is a movie that kind of stands out as something that combines the Marvel formula and like the spy game formula really well. So yeah, I am on behalf of my team. I am thrilled to use this veto for Captain America: Winter Soldier.
You almost got Civil War II started right here, right now.
And
you are Captain Marvel.
Give him an idea.
Alex, shut up.
No, in the books.
So, Brian, what's your choice?
You know what you're doing right now. You really need to watch these live shows.
Back to Brian to fill that number 9.
Yeah.
Maybe I just want to screw with people.
Oh, okay. Things are about
Top
to get
10, baby.
things are about to get incredible over here. Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we happy or are people trying to agree? What's up?
Brian, I need to hear this. Why Incredible Hulk, man?
Why not?
Oh no, I'm not judging you.
Well, no. One of the points that Casey kind of alluded to the point, the simple fact that, there's going to be movies that are not going to get played. There's going to be, characters that don't get the justice that they get and whatnot. Granted, would I like to see a Mark Ruffalo version of this movie? Absolutely. But the fact that since Universal is sitting on their ass and won't make a Hulk movie, that I'm certainly can't use another Hulk movie, so I want to get the Hulk on this list.
Well, I'm always down for Tim Roth. So
yes,
Tim Roth rules. So
yes.
Well, yes, I know, but
Tim Roth
and he'll be back for more.
Movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I dig the Incredible Hulk a lot, actually. I don't know if I'd play it this high. It's definitely, I don't know. I don't even know where it is on my top. I don't even know if it made my top 20, but I do dig it. And I'm glad that they recast Edward Norton. I think this is about as good of a solo Hulk movie as they could have done at the time. Clearly, like, between the Eric Bana one and this one, they don't know how to crack Hulk outside of teaming him up with someone yet. But this is by far the better of the two. And I don't know. It's fun for what it is. I like to put this one on every once in a while. The scene in the college where like all the tanks surround him, he bursts out of the glass thing. Like I love that. That's such a dope scene. So yeah, I dig this.
Any other thoughts?
I will say that I don't agree it should be this high, but I did have it in my number 20 personally, because I think Edward Norton is better than Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner.
Yes.
I think they just needed a green person on this list.
We're gonna let it die. This is definitely Brian's burning a bitch down. So, yeah. You have to live with yourself.
I've been doing that
you have
since
to
the
live with
first
rest of us.
episode. Somewhere in here, there's a Sound City card.
I was going to say, Fighters documentary somewhere.
Yeah, this movie rules. If we had gotten to, I have the last pick for our team, guys. This would be in the top 5. I love the Incredible Hulk. Like Marvin said, Ed Norton is my favorite version of the Hulk. It's such a great homage, yet very much its own thing to the TV show. Even playing the iconic theme from the Incredible Hulk Lou Ferrigno show. We get a Lou Ferrigno cameo with Stan Lee. We get introduced to is it Martin Starr? Right? Is that his name? The actor? Yeah. He's the Spider-Man. He's the Spider-Man teacher. This is his little introduction in this movie. This one really just stands on its own more than a lot of the MCU movies do. I mean, it's the second movie in the series. We get, the first like crossover between major characters when you have Iron Man show up at the end of this movie. The fight between Incredible Hulk and Abomination is so much fun, and we have so many threads left in this movie that are just untapped. Tim Blake Nelson as the leader. I can't wait for that to hopefully happen. Maybe we'll get a cameo in She-Hulk or something. You also have forget the actor's name, Ty Burrell as Doc Samson. He's fun in this movie. Yeah, Edward Norton, I wish wasn't such a behind the scenes prick that he would have been in the Avengers movies, because I do love him as the Incredible Hulk.
To be fair though, the scene that he wanted to include in the movie would have been the best scene to have the Hulk in, and he didn't get his way on that. And I think that it should have been in the movie where Bruce Banner wants to end it all, and the Hulk doesn't let it, because the Hulk.
And it's referenced in a movie he's not in.
Yeah, they talk about
He put a gun in
Yeah.
himself and
They kicked him out,
the
and
guy
he brought
spit
it
it
back.
out.
He wants to spit out here now, but he's not here.
Blame Universal.
There's a deleted scene, and then he's got Cap Shield.
So has everybody made their peace with the Incredible Hulk? Okay, rock on. Let's move on to number 8, and that is D. And that is a comic book look.
And
What's
I
your
think
choice?
that's
But
Ken's choice. I think Ken's our last holdout here, and it looks like he has picked. Ken has picked
I've chosen violence.
Captain Marvel.
Whoa!
Number 8. Tell us why, Ken.
Well, first of all, it's no longer able to be vetoed because there are no more vetoes except for John's. And that's what you get for vetoing and putting Doctor Strange at number 19. But I actually think it is an underrated movie. I really enjoyed it. Brie Larson gets a lot of crap about it. I actually enjoy her acting. I actually enjoyed her in that movie. Talos, the bad guy in it, the comedy that he kind of does with it, I really kind of enjoyed that as well. Fury's eye reveal kind of lame, but I did enjoy the rest of it. The 90s nostalgia, I just loved it. The music, I just really did enjoy it. It was actually would have been in my top 10 anyway, so I'm kind of glad I was able to work it in.
I think this movie is great too. I think it's a lot of fun. This movie out of any other movie migrates on my list the most, depending on what I've seen last of the MCU. And it's fun though. And when I remember watching it at the time, I enjoyed it very much. But I haven't seen it in a while. But yeah, I think it deserves a place on this list.
Yeah, I like this movie a lot.
It's got a Tesseract eating cat.
I think what's the name of the cat?
Goose. Yeah, it's a Top Gun reference.
Great. And I saw the cat. It's not really a cat. Whatever the
Flurkin. It's a Flurkin.
Sure, thank you. But I saw it, and at that time, that was my only cat. And so I would like my cat looked like that cat. And I was like, this is the greatest movie ever. Because Yuki's in the movie. And so I went on this like thing where it's like I'm gonna try and buy a Funko Pop of Goose. And the only one I could find was a little keychain. So now we have the keychain of Goose because that cat is just so great. I like this movie a lot. Like I think this movie is a ton of fun. I think where we're at, we're in a really interesting position because I think there are going to be some movies in the top 10 that there might be some interesting choices. But I think maybe it's my fault. But it might be all of our fault, honestly. This is everyone's fault. But no, I just think this.
It's everyone's sound city.
I think this is a fun pick, and I'm glad to see it on the list.
I agree with you, Andy.
Yeah.
I actually really like this movie. So it's a nice popcorn blast of 90s nostalgia, and I kind of dig it. So
I think it's the best that we see it. I mean, I personally think her Captain Marvel in her own movie is better than we see her in the Avengers movies.
Yeah.
I don't think she was like, I mean, like same thing with Black Panther is they had to film Endgame before they filmed their solo movies. And I really wish that timing was different because I think we got the Captain Marvel from the Captain Marvel movie and those later Avengers movies. It would be so amazing. But I thought it was a great film of like growth and again doing the origin story different because we don't like formulas and I thought it was great for a female-led superhero movie as well to like kind of break the mold into this different way to tell an origin story. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love everything that they do with the Skrulls in this movie. I think the inversion of like not having them actually be the villains, but having them be refugees from the legit villains that you literally find out that Carol Danvers is working for is I just love that. I love how it kind of plays against expectations going into what you would expect from Captain Marvel versus the Skrulls. And you can say what you want about Brie Larson, but I think she's fine in this. Like she's good. She's good as Carol Danvers. I don't think she's still gotten a chance to really like
let go.
Have her big moment yet, but I think that's coming.
Okay. I'm gonna piggyback off that because Brie Larson is an incredible actress.
She is.
She is lifeless in this movie.
She's
incredibly lifeless in this movie. I just
really the snarl when her hands are cuffed is
hilarious.
hilarious.
Larson did prior to this. You're talking Scott Pilgrim, United States of Terra, Room.
Don't forget 21 Jump Street.
Incredible performances from Brie Larson, and then she's just kind of there in the MCU, and I hated that they turned the Skrulls into the good guys because I felt so unrewarded as a watcher in that, and as I'm watching that, because the Skrulls had the potential to be one of, if not the coolest villain, and now we're supposedly cheering them, and then they're gonna just make them bad guys again and do Secret Invasion here soon. So
that doesn't excite you to see how they're going to do that? I mean, they're coming at this from a completely different angle.
Yeah, I got invested in them as the villain, and now they're the good guy. Now I have to get reinvested in them as the villain again.
Maybe it's because I'm like a massive Ben Mendelsohn fan, right? Like everything that guy does is incredible.
I realize this, but also I like something to be a little bit fluent for at least a year. This isn't the goddamn Big Show. All right, this is an hour and a half long Marvel movie. All right.
Okay.
Now I gotta jump in really quick here in defense of the acting thing. In the books, Carol Danvers is a real tough nut to crack because you have the super sexy outfits, you have the fact that she's a leader, you have the fact that she's out in outer space, you have the various hairstyles, the works, and ultimately, I think Brie Larson could have easily looked at the books and been like, what am I supposed to do here exactly? How am I supposed to, because that's how I feel when I read it, when I see her in Avengers comics or her solo series. What in the world's going on? So it's a tough character.
She is a character whose origin and history has been messed with so much that you go into that film with not much to work off of. And I thought she was fine in that movie. I do think she plays that up, that kind of, she's out of place because she is, and she doesn't remember anything, and she's having these kind of flashbacks, and as the movie moves on, she kind of breaks out of that. Also, I would say that the Skrulls, just the ones in this movie, are refugees, and I wouldn't say that you can say the whole Skrull race is going to be that way. And it's going to be more of a nuanced story than that, because you have the Krees and the Skrulls, and who is in charge of actually starting that war. We'll see. But I will say this movie is a lot of fun, and it does a great thing because of, like Garrett was saying here, it's not essentially an origin story. We're deep into the MCU at this point. And I will also say, anybody that complains that she's too overpowered, read a book. She's the most powerful person in the MCU, one of the top tier ones, and that's just something with the character that you have to kind of work with, and maybe it doesn't work here, and when she shows up in Endgame, you're thinking, oh, look at now, she's going to come and solve it all, but that's what she does. So
she's Marvel's Superman.
Yes.
For lack of a better comparison. Yeah.
Does anybody have anything else to add to Captain Marvel?
It's fine.
We like that movie?
It's fine.
Don't like that movie? We're okay with it.
I like that movie.
It's cool. Okay, so moving on to number 7. That is C for Wednesday Comics.
And we got one coming down the pipeline. We have no idea what this is. Let's see what our number 7 movie is. It is.
Okay, Captain America, the First Avenger. Why do you like Captain America, the First Avenger?
Well, because my teammate over here, vetoed the other Iron Man movies. I couldn't bring up Iron Man 3, which I really wanted to. But Captain America is, we were talking about like not getting formulaic with origin movies. And I thought Captain America, yes, did follow your typical origin superhero movie, but it did it in such a way that we're introduced to like one of the greatest characters on the Avengers, and it's just so full of heart. You got that Alan Silvestri score pumping you up throughout the entire movie. The costume is incredible. All of us hated Avengers. I hope everybody hated Avengers Captain America outfit. That was horrible.
Yeah, it was bad.
But it starts so many threads that we see play throughout the Infinity Saga. And so I just remember, and the post-credit scene giving us the trailer for the Avengers, this was the final movie before we started getting into that territory. So it was just so exciting because there was so much setup in the first Avenger, not only for his character, but for the rest of the Avengers. So I loved it. And every time I watch it on TV, I love the Winter Soldier. I think everybody does. But when I see the first Avenger, it does have a little extra heart in it for me. So.
This movie is my personal number 1 in all of the MCU. When I saw this movie opening weekend in theaters, it was for like a friend's birthday. We all went out to the theater, and then we went back to the apartment, and everybody was like getting drunk. And I was sitting in the corner just processing what I'd just watched, because I was like, I just watched like one of my favorite comic book heroes get put to life on the big screen in the best way possible. Like, this is such a classic, like the Indiana Jones vibes. Like, this feels like a throwback blockbuster in a way that we have not gotten since, and we hadn't gotten for a very long time before this movie came out. The ending is a perfect piece of emotional filmmaking. It brings me to tears every time. I love this movie. I love Skinny Steve. I love I was a scrawny kid. I was, Steve Rogers and so this movie, knowing I don't know, just the journey he goes on getting that power and still not letting it corrupt him, still letting himself be the good beacon of hope that he is supposed to be. Like, this movie is, I watched, when I got this on DVD, I watched it every day for 40 days straight. I'm not kidding. 40 days straight. I put this on at least once.
So it's kind of like me with Movie Nights, where I watch that once a day for about a month.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. This movie is like...
For two totally different reasons, I assume.
Yes, for the filmmaking style, Brian.
But Captain America, the First Avenger is absolutely my favorite MCU movie. I'm glad that it's in the top 10. I would have loved to see it higher even, but I'm also aware that I love this movie maybe a little bit more than a lot of people. So
Totally with you.
yeah, okay.
This, I don't want to give too much away, but this is also like very, very high up for me. And the reason for that is the time period, because personally, I'm a big fan of like the old school Marvel characters like Human Torch and Namor and Captain America. And this is kind of our first taste of that. Like with the World's Fair, you get to see the Human Torch there and like old school Howard Stark. And I just love World War II era stuff anyway. And just, it wouldn't be a thing with me if I didn't mention that it also contains a song by Alan Menken, who did all of the Disney music. So that's another reason to love the movie.
Star Spangled Man is a jam. It's a jam.
Certified banger.
If all war movies were like this, I probably would like war movies more.
I totally agree with you. When they first announced that, okay, this is going to be a prequel set in the 40s, and it really wasn't anything we had seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at that point in time, like they did with Captain Marvel, which was also another prequel. But it was just kind of such a, they announced that, and I'm like, how are they going to do that? Like, that sounds stupid. But it blew my mind. They pulled it off so well. And they introduced Captain America, of course, and one of my favorite characters, Peggy Carter, who is going to go on and become Captain Carter, as we see in Multiverse of Madness. And one thing that I kind of want to point out there, that it was so possible that that could have happened in the MCU universe, just because in the scene where they take the grenade and they throw that dummy grenade, if you pay attention, Steve runs towards it, so does she.
Yeah.
So that right there shows that, you know, she was going to be a hero one way or another. And I just love the fact that they have worked Haley Atwell back into it. And I would actually love to see a standalone Captain Carter movie.
Yeah.
Yes. Justice for her first season of the TV show.
Yes.
Yes. Even season 2 was good until it went off the rails.
I'm glad you brought that up, because the relationship between Peggy and Steve is the best in the MCU. I don't think hardly any other like relationship like that comes even close, especially in Phase 1. Like, none of those can touch this, and then have that kind of be the emotional arc all the way to Endgame, and that's how we end that movie, starting it off here with the first Avenger. I think that's really, really incredible that Marvel planned that this far back and had these two actors that had this just incredible chemistry. I think there's better Captain America movies, but this is kind of the template that was, you know, leading us forward. And like you guys were saying about it setting up the Avengers, did that perfectly. Having the trailer for the Avengers right after is such a great like little stinger at the end of this. I remember watching it in theaters, and the guy's like, "Hey, they're going to play the trailer for the first Avengers if you want to go in a little early." So we watched that trailer twice that night, because it's like, yeah, why not? Yeah, this movie is so good. I think a lot of people don't give it enough praise, especially because of all the things that have come back. I'm glad it's in the top 10 though.
When I found out I was going to be here, and I started making my list. I asked John, "Can you make your list?" He goes, "No, I'm just going to wing it." And I'm like, "What?"
That's his whole team.
I'm going to make a list. But one thing I was thinking was, there's two different types of people that we're going to have that would make these types of lists, and it's going to be those who comic book nerds and movie buffs who are going to take all the originals and shove them up to the top. Like, they're going to be in the top 10 easily. And then probably the more generic watchers are going to be like, well, the new one was really good, so I'm going to put that one at the top. I kind of am in between there, but I thought it was going to be really interesting seeing how this turned out as far as the original movies came out. But I kind of have a question, and it can be crowd participation also. But since Iron Man has been taken out of the mix, I wanted to know how many people would have put Iron Man above Captain America.
Oh, we have some hands going up, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Quite a few hands went up there.
How many people then would have put this one on top?
Ooh.
Okay.
This is probably, like you said, one of the most movies I've watched on Disney
same.
Plus. I've watched this one several times, like over and over and over again.
I've watched this probably in the triple digits, and it has never gotten old. Like I'm sorry, yeah, like legit, probably triple digit viewings, and it's never gotten old. I was obsessed with this. Facebook memories. There's so many Captain America posts from like 10 years ago.
Sam, how can you have that many viewings of this movie between watching this and Chopping Mall?
Well, Shopping Mall's another triple digit.
Shopping Mall is an hour, and you're in and out.
Oh man, if we're getting to Choppy Mall, it's time to move on. We're gonna head to number 6.
I really want to say that Captain America is my favorite character, and I think this is He's the most true to form character in the MCU, and I think this movie is fantastic for that reason. It gets Captain America perfect, and the reasons I love that character, this movie just shows off the whole time. And as you guys stated, going into the Avengers, then I was more excited to see this version of him in the MCU.
Nice. Well, we're in a really exciting spot here because number 6 is a pick for Team Wing It, which is also
Team
best friend.
Team best friend. Team
And
best friend.
this is the last time we're going to hear from them until pick number 1.
No, it's not.
Well, that's true.
No, it's not.
We're going to get some opinions. Let's see here what we have for the movie for number
Okie dokie, man. So at number 6, Avengers Infinity War.
So I think there might be a little bit of controversy in the room. So my defense for this is that I think this personally might be my favorite of the Avengers movies, even more so than Endgame. However, it's not my favorite in the MCU. And I think that there are others, whether it be team ups, what have you, when you have these matchups in there, that are better movies. However, Infinity War is an emotional roller coaster throughout the entire movie, and it starts off slow and it builds and builds and builds, and then you finally get that cliffhanger ending up until Endgame. I think just the pacing of this movie might be my favorite part of that. However, we thought it was incredible when the first Avengers came out that it didn't feel crowded. The fact that Infinity War didn't feel crowded is incredible to me. I think everybody had their small little story arc to get to the end of it, and at the end of the day, the movie is a Thanos movie, and that's where I will always kind of lean with that movie, is that it turns out to be almost like an origin story for Thanos within the MCU. So,
We talked about previously, I think, Garrett, you might have mentioned it, of Marvel has this problem with their villains of killing them off too soon. I mean, this movie kills them off right away in the next one, but it's a Thanos movie. He's the main character. Sam, I know, disagrees on, this movie's a mess and saying like there's not a whole lot of things that connect or come together or have character arcs. Thanos has a damn character arc. He might be the only villain aside from Loki that has an actual arc in this entire MCU. And I think how the stories do interconnect is a perfect tease for what we get in the next movie. We don't get to see the aftermath of Civil War of them like, oh, well, we better team up and fight Thanos because he's the big baddie. It's like, no, I still hate you. I'm not going to come help you because we're not on the same terms yet. With Captain America doing his thing, Iron Man doing his thing. And then the snap is kind of this really big emotional moment of, oh my God, who are they actually going to take out here? And when you see Spider-Man go, it's like, no, you can't kill Spider-Man. Like, it's Spider-Man. You just introduced him. You can't kill him.
and this whole room, I think, can probably attest. When you go to those debuts for an MCU movie, especially up to that point, that is an active movie.
Mhm.
Like that is everybody's hooting and hollering. When that snap happens, everyone got quiet.
It felt like we were leaving a funeral.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we
We
got
did
out of
leave
that
a
movie,
funeral.
Everybody just was like in a daze, just like, what did we just watch? And one of my other favorite scenes, just to like throw in more Guardians love, is I love how you know that they're coming before they even show up on screen because they play Rubber Band Man, and it's because they put in the work to establish them as like that's their jam, literally. And it was just so cool. And again, the theater experience. As soon as you heard that start, the fans were like, "Oh, here come the Guardians!" And that was really fun.
And anybody who knew the song Rubber Band Man started singing.
It was just creatively like such a good meshed pot. Like even having James Gunn come in and do that Guardian scene was like incredible because like obviously the Russos like inviting other creative voices to come in and help with this. That was amazing. But yeah, I was gonna say when you were talking about how this is a Thanos movie, I know it'd be so on the nose, but just to call it like Thanos wins because like literally he sets out on his objective and he accomplishes it, and things try to get in his way, but he runs right into them. So.
Almost effortlessly. Like,
Yeah.
He just put every hero that you had to shame, and you felt awful for it.
Right. I mean, our heroes had 10 years of like basically, oh, we can stop anything. And Thanos was like, this has been my plan from the start, and I'm going to do it.
I will say, like, I don't dislike this movie. I think it's my least favorite Avengers just because I don't feel like there's as much forward momentum in this one as some of the other ones. Like, I just, especially when you get right before the big battles at the end, like, for me, the stuff where you're going to get the Stormbreaker axe, that stuff just grinds me to a halt. I love Thor's arc in this, but like you're jumping from so many scenes to so many scenes that all of a sudden you're back with Thor, and it's like, I don't know. It jumps around so much that I have a hard time emotionally connecting with some of the big moments until the end, which is very effective. Aside from the fact that we all knew that Black Panther and like, you know, that they were all coming back, right? Like they weren't going to introduce all these characters and then kill them. And like they were in a tough spot because you can't kill the original Avengers and then have Endgame, the culmination of this, not have like Tony Stark or Captain America or anything. But you're also like, I don't know. This is the Avengers movie that I rewatched the least. I saw it opening night. It was cool. After I watched it opening night, I've just never really had the desire to see it again. You know?
I'll just point into this, one more thing with the theater experience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody else had this experience, but you went and you watched the movie, and then there's the line of people that are waiting.
Yeah.
And you just stare at them.
Someone was even asking, like, as people were coming up, was it good? And everybody was literally just trying not to make eye contact with the guy, like pretending like they didn't hear him. And I swear he probably thought he was going into something like the Phantom Menace, judging by the reaction of the people coming out. Like,
I need to jump in here really quick. For my feedback, Garrett, I believe you have a prop. If you could get that and light her up for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I will be doing my individual veto, but I have purpose with this. We are going to defend Spider-Man's honor because we are not having him fade to dust for the number 6 spot team collectively. So he is vetoed but not gone. So he is still.
So did you just veto?
I did.
Yes. Okay.
Whoa.
And I'm pretty certain that's the last veto in play here.
That was the lie. He just did a Thanos. Boom.
John is our Thanos.
I just needed the stone.
You should have done this, honestly.
The second John started talking, I got nervous, guys. The only guy in the room with a veto left, and now it's gone, as is that movie.
It's a dangerous game, John, you just played.
It is a dangerous game because who knows if and when that
No
movie
risk,
will
no
come
reward.
back.
Top 16.
We have Corey going over to get the new pick from Charlie, and we're going to see what replaces it. Who knows? Could be anything. I'm a little scared. We're at spot number 6. And the movie
Goes to Ang Lee's The Hulk. That's a really weird choice. I didn't even think that was a part. No. Yes, exactly. No, it's actually Avengers Endgame. Does anybody?
I was gonna say no.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement
I mean-
with this now. Yeah, because Infinity War is my favorite of the Avengers movies.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure Infinity War got on the list. So, and it sounds like we're after we lit some matches and we started each other on fire and we had some fights and Sam did some stuff. We're all kind of getting on the same page finally. And so, Endgame, good culmination to 11 years of movies. Can feel a little bit like a clip show in certain moments, so we're just going to get that out of the way. However, that final battle scene is damn epic.
It is. It is. Does anybody else have anything to add that was? Oh, Brian does.
I want to fucking talk. I didn't get to talk.
No, the one thing I want to point out is you make.
Oh, Corey, you've never been more attractive.
You clearly missed him last night.
Shorts today.
You should have the guy from Reno 911. That's what you should have been doing. Terry Dingle. No, Charlie, you make the reference about the theater experience for Infinity War. Like I always go back as the theater experience for Endgame because you're talking about that last final epic, scene or whatever. I remember being in the theater and it's crickets up until you hear Steve Rogers talk about Avengers Assemble and then just everybody.
Well, on your left part.
Yeah, the on your left part.
Not even that. No, I mean, like everybody roared in my theater, but as soon as it was a culmination. It got real quiet because they knew it was coming, and then as soon as he got the hammer, everybody in my theater just roared.
And Ultron some credit for that because it wiggled.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cullen. You can speak
Well,
now. I got excited because I wanted to talk with the last movie, but I think this is fine because they pull them together.
Yes.
For me, it's very difficult to separate these movies. I know that they're two clearly different movies, but you can't have one without the other. And I think it's hard to kind of rank one above the other because this is the most cohesive 1-2 punch. And that's what happens with cliffhangers. You end one story, or you bring a story to its conclusion point, and then move on to the next to tell the rest of the story. And I think this one does that really well. And it's hard to be like, well, I really am all in on one of them, but not the other one. I think the other one makes the other part even better. And for me, this one is just this is the culmination of all of that hard work, introducing these characters, falling for these characters. And while that happens with the first one, we know they're not done for. We know we're going to see them come back. Contracts have been signed, storylines aren't wrapped up. We know that there's going to be more. And when this one reaches its end, that really ties up the whole story. And yeah, I think Infinity War and Endgame together are it's a ton of fun. It brought that excitement to go into the movies for everybody. It was something that,
Yes.
But yeah, I think this one's a blast. So it can be Infinity War in this spot. It can be Endgame in this spot. They're a lot of fun to watch.
Okay, so before we get to the top 5, I'm going to recap the movies that we have on the countdown so far because, yes, it's going to stay now. So at number 6, we have actually, let's go 20. Let's go 20. I'm feeling saucy. Eternals at number 20. Number 19, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. Number 18, it's weird every single time I say it, Iron Man 2. 17, once again, Ant-Man, real small letters. Number 16, Guardians of the Galaxy, I'd play that higher. Number 15, Black Widow. Number 14, Spider-Man, Homecoming. Number 13, Shang-Chi. Number 12, Thor Ragnarok. Number 11, Avengers, the first one. Number 10, Captain America Civil War. Captain America Civil War. I misspoke. Number 9, Incredible Hulk. Number 8, Captain Marvel. Number 7, Captain America, the First Avenger. A pretty rad movie. And number 6 is Avengers Endgame. We have no more vetoes, people. Everything stays. It's the top 5. It's the final countdown. Do-do-do. Do-do-do.
And for our last individual pick from Backlot, we have Spider-Man No Way Home. And another F word. All right, Casey.
Listen, I'm going to steal Andy's line. Listen, we are at a point in this game where I have to just play our number 2 because I don't know what you guys are going to play. I know what we're going to play next. I don't know what you guys are going to play. You guys could play Thor Dark World at number 1 if you wanted to. You could. And we can't stop you.
I'm saying, you put it at 5. Wait till number 1, baby.
This movie is incredible. I love this movie so much. And like I said, when you played Far From Home, I hated that movie. It is my least favorite of the MCU. It's my least favorite Spider-Man movie. But to steal a line from Dumb and Dumber, it totally redeems itself and gives us a perfect Spider-Man movie. It's the best Spider-Man has been in the MCU. Even taking out Tobey and Andrew, this is a great Tom Holland Spider-Man movie where you care about him and you care about what's going to happen. It is great villains that are actual Spider-Man villains this time, where we don't have to have Tony Stark knockoffs that Mysterio and Vulture were, who were both fun, but they're Iron Man villains. That's their motivation. We want to go after Iron Man. Well, we'll fight Iron Man Jr. This movie clearly gives him an identity in this. He is Spider-Man. He has to use his intellect. What makes him Spider-Man in this movie? That he's just a good person. If I can redeem someone, I will do it. And it takes this little bit of a motivation. He actually has an arc in this movie, unlike the other two movies. I think he's so much fun. And then obviously when you get to the cameos that are more than cameos in this movie, the actual introductions of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Andrew Garfield. The best actor of last year, Andrew Garfield, from this movie and Tick, Tick, Boom. He is so goddamn good in this and redeems a movie I like that I know a lot of people don't. Amazing Spider-Man 2. I just rewatched. I like it too. I like it. The scene where he catches this movie's MJ and just starts crying. You're like, oh my God, I understand where you are as a character and everything you've been through up until this point. It's so great. And Tobey kind of stepping into this like mentor role, being the Uncle Ben to Tom Holland's Spider-Man is really cool. That we don't get an Uncle Ben. We get the line from Aunt May, who actually has something to do in the movie. And we get Tobey kind of stepping in of, I know the path that you could go down, and it's not a good path. Think of another direction to go. And guys, Willem Dafoe. We get rid of the Weird Al Green Power Ranger mask and just let the guy who looks like an actual goblin play the Green Goblin, right? He's so good in this movie. I think everything is just amped up to the upteenth degree in this movie. And the end of this movie is exactly where I want this Spider-Man to be. He's in a shitty apartment by himself. Yep. He has to pay rent. Could have used one more cameo. That's my only qualm with the movie. We could have used one more. But it leaves him by himself. He doesn't have Iron Man to rely on anymore. He doesn't have anyone, no friends, no family. He's just by himself. Has to literally sew his own suit and swing through New York.
And it's the best looking suit this Spider has
it is. Thus far. It is. And this movie rules. It has to be at 5 because it's like I don't know if you guys were going to play it higher. That's the only reason why. That's the only reason why it's not higher.
Reasoning, but I'm disappointed it's not just a skosh higher. And I feel like I may have watched it a little bit through rose-colored glasses because it was post-pandemic. And talk about audience reactions, man. Like, this overtook the Avengers ones for me because this, like, again, going on the opening night with like the Uber nerds, like people saw it was Garfield's costume as soon as that portal opened, and you could feel it in the audience. I was like, oh my God, it's true. They're here. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I mean, I will never forget how that felt, clearly. Like, I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve. I love this movie so goddamn much. It's like Easter egg heaven for Spider-Man fans.
And you know what the thing I like the most about this is, like, it's like Casey said, this feels to me like the first MCU movie where Tom Holland gets to be Spider-Man. I have not felt like he is Spider-Man in the first two. And you can say that's like a writing choice. Like, he's getting to be Spider-Man over 3 movies, but yeah, exactly. But like, this movie does not needle drop Back in Black right after Happy Hogan goes, do your own thing. Like, so like, it's already 10 times better than Far From Home, because what was that scene? Seriously. I love that this movie isn't Iron Man Jr. for the first time since 2015. Like, Iron Man has nothing to do with this. It's actually a Spider-Man movie. And aside from Into the Spider-Verse, it's the best Spider-Man movie we've gotten this far.
And I'll just say to you, I really hope now it establishes street-level Spider-Man.
Yes.
Like Wilson Fisk and Black Cat and like Daredevil.
Yes. That Charlie Cox cameo was almost. It had more.
Top 5 easily for me because
yeah.
Daredevil for life, baby.
Honestly, I think that might have been a bigger reaction at my screening was from Charlie Cox than it was for either of the two Spider-Men. And I think it's because we all kind of knew that the Spider-Men were going to be in there.
The best Daredevil.
Please tell me that's the director's cut.
You watched your mouth out
It's
with
the
soap.
widescreen special limited edition Chinese version.
So basically, there's no right answer. He doesn't know.
I was gonna say back on No Way Home that like the end of that movie brought us such a good movie to come. Like how they set it all up, and you're like, oh crap, everyone's gonna know who he is. You know. Yeah, I was like, yeah. I'm sorry I didn't say that earlier, but I wanted to mention that about that movie. And then Andrew, he is just such a fanboy in this movie. I feel like he's like the epitome of everybody that likes comics, I think, at this point, and he just gets to do whatever he wants with his character now, and he knows what direction he wanted to go, and he got to do it, and it just made it so enjoyable for me.
There's an awesome reevaluation of things once we kind of get years removed from them. We're kind of seeing it right now with Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, and even to an extent Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. People are excited to see him in the Obi-Wan series. And I think for Andrew Garfield, it's that same thing. Everyone, and we've said it a lot tonight, Amazing Spider-Man 2 sucked. And yeah, it's not great. But it has a lot, there are really good elements to it, and one of them is that Andrew Garfield is just having a blast. And to kind of step into the MCU and do this character and love this character and let that show up on screen, like, it's, he stole this movie from me. And it's, we would have put this a little bit higher because we love it. But yeah, I think those three Spider-Men, like especially Andrew Garfield, like it was such a great moment for him and for fans of the character in the movies.
I just want to say, I just want to say one more thing, and this is to piggyback off of what Andy said about Ant-Man. Andrew Garfield, this is 3 hours in, and if you're watching, just please marry me. He also loves Grease too, so like we're meant to be.
Grease 2 is magical.
I want to echo
magic of something.
I am so excited that we might get some street level Spider-Man. And the fact that Disney finally acknowledged Daredevil and its greatness. Because Daredevil was, in my eyes, the best thing that Marvel had done in a very long time. And as far as that TV show, and he is one of my favorite comic books to read. I could read almost any one of his arcs, and still there's some weird stuff in there. But I love Daredevil, and I'm so excited and happy. Thank you for fan servicing me.
I really want to hear Wednesday Comics thoughts on this because I have no idea what you guys think of this. Of Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's the best. Everything that Sam said was what I was going to say, so that's why I'm not adding more to this because there's nothing more to say that hasn't been said. I will say to that same comment, now that we have Charlie Cox as Daredevil, we also have Wilson Fisk in this universe too, so there's a lot of great things that could come out of our reset.
No, he definitely died. He's dead.
Until Echo comes out.
I wouldn't be surprised. And the way that this movie sets up, I think Andy said this, sets up the next movie, and you know that it's a reset on that whole character. It's so exciting, and I think everything that Sam said, this character in this movie, like that's the Tom Holland Spider-Man that I wanted to see in the previous two movies, and it somehow feels like that movie has stakes where the rest of the prior two movies did not have any kind of stakes.
Who played Venom? What's his name?
Tom Hardy.
Hardy, when he shows up and you finally get to see the Venom suit is going to show up, and the Spider-Man gets to fight the Sinister Six in the next movie.
It's the best use of Tom Hardy as Venom in any movie.
Yeah.
And Alex is holding strong, still holding the shield. Everyone should know that. If you're not watching this, it's kind of magical. It's been hours.
It's heavy.
Hours.
So for the record, I have put it on my leg, so it's not like these arms are ripped.
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna
I
be-
mean,
He's got the marks to prove
yeah,
it.
he's gonna feel it tomorrow morning. I know that. But now we're heading into the top 4 picks. These are team picks. These are our last picks. So we're gonna go back to Backlot for their last pick in the MCU countdown, and that for number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Tell us all about it, guys.
The number 1 MCU movie, in my opinion. I love this movie so much. What the first movie does is yes, thank you. It's easily my favorite. What it does with these characters that are set up so great in the first movie and expand upon them, like we said, that movie's about friends that become family, like your chosen family. What happens when that family starts to get torn apart? And I love that in this movie. And what happens when you get introduced to other people that are akin to your family? Michael Rooker in this movie, guys, is so good. That damn raccoon has made me cry 2 different times. And who can say a freaking raccoon has made them cry that much? Just
the raccoon and everything everywhere else.
Yes, Raccoon. That's true. That is true.
You really got help.
I loves me some trash pandas, man.
The finale of this movie, where you just see Rocket looking at all the ships coming and just paying, homage to Yondu, and you just see like these tears come down his eyes. Like, God damn, you're a raccoon. Why am I? Yeah. The soundtrack from the first movie is incredible. This one just doubles down on that. It's so great. Guys, we get Kurt Russell in the MCU, and he is just like everything you would want as Kurt Russell in the MCU. You get David Hasselhoff, Stallone, who is
the cameos you start throwing out in this movie because Miley Cyrus is showing up too. So you gotta be a little careful.
Howard the Duck. We get so many great things in this movie. I love this movie so much. The character arcs are incredible. Nebula is actually has a really good arc in this movie and is a great character. And everything it sets up when you go forward into the MCU with the Guardians of the Galaxy is so great. That's why you want to see them team up with Thor and have that same kind of camaraderie with him. Is because of this movie. Everybody is so great and so well acted in this movie. And Chris Pratt, for being kind of the bumbling, dumb idiot in the first movie, really gets a great character arc in this movie and has, at least an emotional arc in this movie, having the connection to Kurt Russell. And in a way, he was supposed to be our modern Kurt Russell. I don't know if that really panned out. Hello, Jurassic World. But at least we get them together in this movie, and I think they're really great together.
Give it one more chance to address it. Get it right the third time. I will say
that's literally what I texted Casey when that trailer came out. I was like, why do I keep giving this franchise chances?
Hey, if I bring everybody here, they don't like it. I will say that the amount of disdain I have for the first movie, the second movie is a million times better, and I do agree it should be somewhere in the top 10, 5. That's a good spot for it if we're going to put it in that spot. I think everything that the first movie does that I don't enjoy, this movie makes up.
Yeah. This movie improves upon the first one in so many ways, from the soundtrack to the characters. Yondu was my favorite character in the first one. I love Michael Rooker. I love when he works with James Gunn.
Because he's gonna die.
And more times than not, yeah. And he has such a good, just such a cool arc in this movie. This movie came out a month after I lost my grandpa. So I saw this in the theaters.
Did it really?
It really did.
A month after I lost my grandma, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
I was not prepared for it to hit me the way it did. Yeah. Legit, this movie wrecked me for an hour after I watched it. I was just because it's so beautiful. It doesn't let the fact that humans have made poor decisions detract from we're all human. We all make mistakes. Sometimes we piss off the people we love the most. Sometimes we push them away. But in the end, does that really matter? And I think that's what this movie is trying to get at, is we all suck sometimes. We're all worthy of forgiveness. We all can have a shot at redemption. And to me, that's just the most beautiful thesis that I never thought I would see in a Marvel movie. And it's if First Avenger wasn't my number one, this one would be. And yeah, we talked about it. We didn't know if anybody was going to play it higher than this, so we wanted it on the list. It's incredible. Yeah, I love this movie.
I like how the movie, right when you get into it, it's starting out with the fight scene and Baby Groot just walking around. Like, you're like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And it's just amazing. And then you get to the fight scene at the end and don't press this button. Huh? No, not that much. You got some tape, and they're just like, they're fighting and they're yelling at each other. You got some tape? Why would I have tape? You know, like the comedic portion of this movie is just amazing.
Yeah.
And then I feel a lot of movies, when I complain about a movie, it's downtime or the slowness of something. And I feel like this one just kept moving. There was all the scenes like I just discussed, but even like when it was a little bit slower, you're constantly learning something. Like you're seeing something new. You're like, oh yeah, I don't have time to go to get popcorn, refill my drink, because I want to keep watching this. And that's something a lot of movies need to strive for.
Yeah.
You make mention about the use of Groot with the button and whatnot, but I want to praise Gunn's way to intro a movie, because, you know, you have a great, big, huge, epic fight at the very beginning of this movie, and everything is concentrating on Baby Groot dancing. And everything is just going on in the background, and you're trying to get an idea of what's going on, but you're too infatuated by this little baby tree in front of you dancing.
And for it to end with like Drax accidentally smashing the boombox and Baby Groot going after him, like, yeah, man, that opening sequence is perfect.
I think my favorite part of that movie is the big brother, little brother relationship between Groot and Drax.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time Drax comes around, Groot's just trying to beat him up and he can't.
I also want to point out Baby Groot taking out the Ravagers because he's pissed off because he got manhandled by the Ravagers.
That scene is so dark.
Yes.
And they're trying to get that headpiece, and he keeps bringing other stuff, and they're eventually just like.
The massacre on the Ravager ship is one of the coolest scenes, but it's so dark when you think about it. Like, you're cheering along with these people who are like mass slaughtering a group. Like, granted, does this group like maybe like deserve a little something? Yes, but like fiery death, I don't know. You know, like.
I just need to end this on "You're
I
hideous."
think we are ready to head to number 3, guys. Very important. It's already coming down the pipeline once Sam turns around. And we are going to get our third movie in our top 20. And it is Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Or the return of Captain America, the Winter Soldier, I should say. Yeah.
Not my fault this time.
We couldn't trust, after you talking about Spider-Man that way, I don't know which way we were going to go, so we went with this.
Spider-Man's already used.
I know, but I don't know where your head was at.
Why do you think we played Guardians?
It needs to be in the top 5. It should be number 1.
What?
He just told you we couldn't trust you. I asked you, Andy, if that was your favorite character. You said no, so I couldn't trust.
You only asked Andy.
And you wore a Spider-Man shirt. What do you mean?
Spider-Man and Captain America can go with it.
I thought you were going to rip your shirt off and just show us. You've got the captain's shirt.
Yeah, he's got the
Then I
shield
shaved
just
my chest here.
tattooed.
Captain America's shield, but it's in the shape of a heart. So, you know.
This movie and another MCU movie that hasn't been played yet can dance around number 1. But I feel like this needs to be on there, not only for the Russo's direction. The script is super tight. It's a political thriller that does so much different with the MCU. And as we stated before, like Captain America's character is the most true character in the MCU, and I feel like putting him in this situation only proves how much that he will not waver from his beliefs, and proves how much, if you want to talk about a movie about friendship, I think this movie is the perfect example of that. And action-wise, fantastic. I mean, this movie was the Russos' reason to be the new people to take over Avengers. There was no other choice after you saw this movie.
Yeah.
No, the only thing I have to say about this movie is, does anybody want to get out before we begin? Elevator scene, one of the best ones.
Oh yeah, it's iconic now. Yeah.
I imagine I do all the time. I was at home today, and I was at my mom and dad's, and I legitimately pretended to stomp on the shield and catch it. And
Did it just hit you in the shin?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't want to break my actual shield.
Because I've done that with this and it hurts.
Everybody breaks my nose.
Trying to avoid a concussion.
This movie's got legitimately the best fight scenes I've seen in not just the MCU, in any movie. When I think of top fights, when I'm watching the elevator scene, or when I legitimately watch him fight Batroc the Leaper, I am so enthralled. I cannot stop watching this movie. It's been my number one since 2014, and it might just be my number one movie. Die Hard used to be on it, Lethal Weapon's on it, but Winter Soldier has been the best movie I have seen in so many years. And Chris Evans, if you are listening, I do have the biggest man crush on you. I'm looking to be your best friend.
Yeah, this movie.
I'm the only.
It is America's ass.
I'm the only woman on the panel. Not that men can't appreciate his ass either, but yeah.
I was about to say we can definitely appreciate
Got
it.
a man
Like,
crush all the way.
I'm all about it.
yeah, I remember seeing this movie opening weekend, like in a in a theater that was surprisingly sparse. Like it was me and maybe 3 other people, and this was opening night, and I was shocked. And the first violent, like he throws a knife through a dude's hand and then knocks him out cold with the shield. I mean, he's putting his shield through walls in the opening action set piece of this. And I'm just like, he's like vicious. He's going for it. Like he is not fucking around with these people. And I just, that was my first glimpse into something like this is what the MCU could be eventually. And like to see the Russos take that aesthetic and build upon it and give us something like Endgame. They've always understood the Captain America character. I love what they do with him. I love that. I love when the Russos work with Steve Rogers, and this movie is a perfect example of it. I don't think they've done better with Steve Rogers since this movie. But yeah, this movie is a 5-star banger.
In this movie, Nick
yes.
Fury's the best. Also, I would argue that Black Widow's the best used in this movie too. And Robert Redford is amazing in this movie also. Anytime he's on the screen, it's fantastic. But I think in this movie, the subtle way, so many theories going into this movie of who he actually was, and for him just to be part of Hydra, and that whole flip too is makes this movie. I mean, it's just a thrill ride from beginning to end.
Yeah, this movie's awesome. Another cool cameo in this movie, Jenny Agutter, who was in An American Werewolf in London, has a part as one of the panelists, and I think that's who Scarlett Johansson like pretends to be in that scene. That's super cool. It's just fun to kind of see people from different movies pop up in here. Yeah, everything about this movie is fantastic. This is my personal number one. I love
it's
this
probably
movie.
everybody's.
Yeah, I just like it's.
Melvin didn't trust us.
It's
Thought we were gonna go all in on Far From Home.
the beginning of the friendship between Captain Falcon, the kind of trying to find that redemption of friendship between Captain and Bucky, and then this is the best use of Black Widow too. Like you've said, it's great to see her as this character that's like she is committed to her duty and knows that her alliances with these people have become super important to her. Yeah, I love this movie. I'm glad it's on the list. I wish I didn't burn things down because I hate Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I guess this is
this is what comes around.
Yeah,
but, let's see how things.
When Spider-Man: No Way Home came up there, and you guys were so distraught over it being on that low, and I was like, oh, we all thought you were going to pick Winter Soldier at that point. And I said, why? Because I don't know what they're thinking. I said, if they don't play it at 4, I got to play that.
We came in with a game plan, and
we ruined your trust.
Yeah, we burned our bridges. Sorry, guys.
A lot of wishing and hoping happening, but we have this locked in at number 3, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which means we're headed to number 2. There's still a lot of possibilities left here. Number 2 is going to D, a comic book look. You guys had so much power here. I'm very excited to see what movie you chose.
There is a Marvel movie that I'm surprised so far has not been played, and it is not being played right now.
Okay.
So
We'll see.
number 2, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. They're just kidding. Avengers Infinity War.
What?
Okay.
So I did this because Team Best Friend, you burn a lot of bridges, but you talk so much about friendship that we're extending the olive branch back to you. Hearing Charlie gush about his love of the movie moved my cold heart. And the gauntlet taketh away, but it also giveth. So
Yeah, you guys, I didn't trust you either in that number 1 spot. Next thing I knew, Spider-Man Homecoming was going to be out there, or whichever one's not. I know we talked about this one a lot, so we don't really need to discuss it more, but 2 points I wanted to make earlier I didn't get a chance to was with the development, as you, was it you that said something about how they were doing Thanos' development in this movie? When you see how he loves, it was so much different because the Soul Stone couldn't be created without him killing one of his own. And being able to kill somebody that you love that much, it truly showed some sort of character development on that part. And it was pretty amazing to see and then watch him. So anything he did after that, I believed him. Like, I never doubted that man one time, even though I was like, you need to die. And then this is the first time or an only time that we've ever watched a movie, I think, where there were so many different scenes that happen where they're fighting tooth and nail to try to keep this from happening. And then they failed. And then they failed. And then they failed. And then half the universe dies. We walked out of a movie where our superheroes lost. And it's not something that we ever did before, saw before.
That was the best comparison I can give. It's this generation's Empire with the I Am Your Father scene. I think that's it, but I think it stepped it up a notch.
Yeah, so with all of it, I actually did put this one above Infinity War or Endgame because it was such a heart wrencher. It was just, there was so much emotion in this movie that you're like, then we got to Endgame finally, and we're like watching at the beginning. It's
when they go after him.
no, we were watching, like, we're waiting for the end of the last movie to start, but we're watching the Arrow guy. I can't think of his name. Hawkeye. We're at his house, and I'm like, no, let's get back to where we left off. But yeah.
Oh, man.
I will say, people have brought it up, and just to reiterate that, like, Thanos' arc in this movie is fantastic, as you stated, Dan. Like, people, it's up to that point, he keeps saying that he really loves Gamora as a daughter, and she doesn't believe him, and you can kind of make your own theories up to that point. You're like, does he really? But in order to get that Soul Stone, he has to really love her, and he still sacrifices that love because his mission and what he wants to do is way more important in his mind. And he gives up a lot. That's why we see when after he snaps, he sees her as a smaller child, asking like how much it cost you. He says everything, because it really did cost him everything. But to him, he was going to accomplish that goal no matter what. Mm-hmm. And I think it's fantastic. And I think we brought up earlier saying that he's only around for a movie and a half. He's around that whole MCU for all those movies in the background, doing little things. So in this movie, by the time we got to this movie, we knew who that person was, and we knew that he was going to be the villain in this movie and go after the Avengers. But to the extent of when he shows up in that first scene and attacks the Hulk, and you see automatically that they're not going to win. Like, that's usually the person that goes against the strongest person on the other team, and for him to take him out within seconds, you know that you can keep hoping throughout the movie, but at the end, it literally is going to, we're going to feel the same way that Thanos feels at the end. He's staring off into the sunset. He does, it was done, but he still like lost a lot to get to that point. So.
I guess there isn't a whole lot left to say about this movie that hasn't already been said. I'm more excited and very nervous to see what you guys play at number one, because this is a wild list. I'm ready for Thor: The Dark World.
Depending on what was 2 and 3.
All right, here we go, guys.
I'm hoping it is.
We have reached it, the number one spot and our fate lies in the hands of the best friends. What have they done to us in this universe? Where have they taken us?
I wish that I hadn't already looked at this so that my response would be genuine. But number one is Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage.
There it is,
That
guys.
is the number one.
Your number one pick.
Nice try. That's an end.
There's an upset going on here. Corey's going back to get the real pick. We're going to find out what they actually picked for their number one pick here. To round out our top 20 countdown, we have a different pick from Team Best Friends. And the answer is...
Yeah, what's the real answer?
The only obvious answer, it's Black Panther.
Yeah!
Wakanda Forever.
I would have absolutely been devastated if that did not make the list at all.
Same.
Yes.
So honestly, this had a lot to do with our strategy because we didn't, again, like trust issues all around, right? Like we didn't know where you guys were going to put it, so it kind of moved from like 10 to 6 to. So as you guys kept like saving it, you're like, okay, like. I'm glad I was on this one.
So when the three of us were strategizing and putting together our top 20s and comparing them and seeing where we were at, the game plan for us was to try and get No Way Home to number one. And there might be a little bit of recency bias, but I think that was kind of the game plan that we all agreed upon. Personally, my number one is Black Panther and has been since the day that movie came out. The journey that T'Challa takes in that movie from start to finish is the most well-told single character story arc in that time frame that it was given of any of the characters in the MCU. I'm hoping that I get some more people who agree with that. If you start at the beginning where he's in a new position, he's the new king, he's trying to figure that out, and at the end, that I think the most heart-wrenching thing of that entire movie is when his cousin Eric is choosing death. All he wants to do is save him, and that is the most emotional scene of any of the MCU movies to me personally. That all T'Challa wants to do is be good. And for me personally, I think that whole arc that they had within Black Panther was easily one of the best told stories that they've ever had.
I'll say it. Like this is one of the most beautifully filmed, like incredibly scored. Like this is a superhero movie that was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. And I know that there are people that are like, the Oscars, but, and yeah, the Oscars, but it's an established like thing. Like the Oscars are a thing that carries clout, and to have it get nominated for so many Academy Awards, it has this kind of like that gives this honor to this movie that absolutely 100% deserves it. Chadwick Boseman in the lead role, like, man, what a way to embody this character. Like everything he does with this character is just incredible. And I remember a time when it was talked about, like this was like, I don't want to be the old man here, but there was a time where they were talking about making a Black Panther movie, and I think it was like Wesley Snipes who was kicked around. And it's like, okay, yeah, Wesley Snipes is good, but you have to wait, and the right person comes and fills the role. And Chadwick Boseman is T'Challa. And on that same, the flip side of that coin, Michael B. Jordan is Killmonger. And it's tough to watch a movie where you're like, you know what, maybe the villain's not wrong. Like maybe he's got a point here. And it's just the way that they kind of square up against each other and are able to see where each other are at and still have to fight over it because of what that means to the world if things go a certain way. I love this movie. This is in my personal top 3, behind Winter Soldier, the first Iron Man, and then Black Panther. I love this movie so much.
I'm gonna quick step in just to say this.
No, you already talked.
Yeah. Hold on. Michael B. Jordan. Hit me up.
We're all trying to get Marvel.
They're all watching. They're all together in a room watching the show. I just love how this game is played, because the fact that we have not talked about Black Panther at all, besides when we talked about him in Civil War, has to just prove that he has to be number 1 just because of how the game is played here. For me, it's not. This movie won't crack my top 10. I don't love Black Panther, but I respect the hell out of it. It is one of the most culturally important movies that we've had in the last decade. The Oscar thing, I don't know. I think they were just throwing him a bone. But we talked about villains in the MCU. Thanos, Loki, those are kind of the big ones. For me, Killmonger is the best villain in the MCU. You talk about Black Panther, T'Challa's character arc in this movie. I think he gets outshined by his villain in the character arc, where I'm feeling the most emotional investment in the villain by the end of this movie. Michael B. Jordan is so goddamn good in this movie. If anyone was going to get an Oscar for this movie or nominated, it was him more than the movie itself, in my opinion. The third act's rough, guys. We talk about the CGI in the Avengers, and the third act of this movie is rough. But the story it was telling in that third act is still great. It's a good movie. It just is the way the game is played that it ends up in number 1, in my opinion, because I think if we would have played it at 5 and Spider-Man would have ended up there, that's just how the game would have been played. So it needed to be on this list. The fact that it's at number 1 is a purely gameplay thing. So if anyone else wants to be more
with number 1, I'm just saying that's his opinion.
More positive than this.
Yeah, I would have just been totally disappointed if it didn't make the list at all. I mean, how bad would we have felt if we made it through all of this and we get to the end and we wind up with Thor Dark
And
World
Iron Man 2 is on the list, and not Black Panther.
And Black Panther isn't in there. I mean, I would have just been devastated. So I'm so glad that it made the list. And, I agree. It probably would have been in my top 10. It's one that I've watched a lot, but I don't know if I would have picked it as number 1. But if it didn't make the list, I would have been just so devastated.
There are 4 Marvel movies that make me cry every time I watch them. All 4 of them have been played today. I am very happy. Black Panther is... That does make me cry, but for different reasons. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, First Avenger. Why am I drawing a blank? Oh, yeah, Endgame, and then Black Panther. But, Black Panther is just... I don't think we can understate, how culturally important that was. When that movie came out, it was... People were not expecting it to go off the way it did. I mean, that thing was shattering box office records because it connected with people. And I'm not talking it connected with everybody. There is something there that's just it tells such a human story. And I think that's the best type of MCU movie, is when you care and are emotionally invested in the people. And you're not just emotionally invested in T'Challa and Killmonger, you're invested in this entire world, all these people that inhabit it. And I just think that's the coolest thing about it.
I will say that Ryan Coogler is the best director and writer that the MCU has. I would wish they could be more involved. And this movie does, it's in my top 3. Yeah, I think you mentioned, Casey, that the third act's a mess. What movie up here did we not say that about? There's
Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
That was the reverse, Andy. None of these movies are perfect. They all have some kind of meddling from studio choices, and you have to kind of make it an action movie. But what's great in Black Panther is, I feel like, great for, in movie standards, any other movie. Michael B. Jordan, we talked about, Chadwick Boseman, fantastic performances throughout. And just watching that movie in theaters, I remember leaving that theater being the same way when I saw Ryan's, Fruitvale Station, and even Creed. He has a way to play such a human aspect of those characters that you leave that theater. And that's why you connect with Killmonger so much, is that's his strength is making those people real. And you're in this universe, which is like a hidden city with, all these amazing powers. They have the most advanced technology, but the people behind that is what you get behind. And I think not only does it's fantastic that it's number one on this list. If I believed you guys, we would have played number 3. You could have played Captain America number 1, but that was going to be the second choice. But it's fantastic.
At least it's not 9.
No, and I think Casey was right. Like, we all weren't really talking about it because I knew it had to be somewhere up there, and we were just kind of like pitching our bets on who would actually do it, and things got a little shaky. Things got a little shaky, but it worked out.
We didn't earn your trust, so it makes sense that you didn't give us your trust.
I was gonna say Casey, right?
Sam.
Sam, that one's Casey. Sam said something about all the characters. It wasn't just T'Challa and Killmonger, but his sister, the guards. The guards were freaking fantastic, and there's all the women. Lady that plays Michonne. Jeez Louise, you were invested in every single one of them. The other tribe that was part of it too, they were trying to take over. No, but you're very important to our story here. Like you're like, yeah, I'm invested in every character, not just the couple that are on the screen all the time. So that made it very enjoyable for, I think, everybody.
I will say action-wise too, because you bring a lot of directors in the MCU that haven't done action really to that extent before. That's why I think James Gunn's first Guardians attempt is kind of shaky, but the second one he gets it right. But that movie action scenes are fantastic. The casino scene, the museum scene, the breaking out Andy Serkis, like fantastic.
There we have it, guys. We made it to our number 1 spot. We're gonna do an amazing job, guys. You did it. It's been a marathon. Corey's gonna recap us, and then we're gonna start with our goodbyes.
Oh, goodbyes. That sounds so final. At number 20, Eternals. Number 19, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. At number 18, Iron Man 2. Number 17, Ant-Man, small letters. Number 16, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 15, Black Widow. Number 14, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 13, Shang-Chi. Number 12, Thor Ragnarok. Number 11, Avengers, the first one. Number 10, Captain America, Civil War. And Incredible Hulk at number 9. That number 8 is Captain Marvel. Number 7 is the first Avenger named Captain America. Number 6 is Avengers Endgame. Number 5 is Spider-Man No Way Home. Next to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Number 2 is not Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's Avengers Endgame. Infinity War. And number 1 is Black Panther. And scene.
Okay, that was no Rogers the musical, but that was pretty good.
Any way Corey can get his theater out, he's going for it.
Totally. Well,
Lou's like, I'm going home to that.
yeah, that's something. So I'm glad we have that recorded forever and ever. So I want to thank you guys. This was amazing. Average Joe's Gaming was so cool to have us here tonight. What an amazing space to have this super cool top 20 countdown of the MCU universe. We're going to start our goodbyes. So let's go to Team A, Best Friends. Do you guys have any podcasts you want to talk about? Tell us what you're up to, and then bid us farewell.
Hold on. I'm going to let you finish. But Doctor Strange was one of the best movies ever.
Too bad it only got to 19.
You better keep Doctor Strange's name out of your mouth.
Keep my doctor's name out your
It was a G.I. Jane joke. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think before I say anything like plug-wise, I want to say Backlot 605. Yeah, you guys leaving now is going to leave a hole in this podcasting world. I am very, very lucky to consider you guys my friends, and I am grateful that our paths have crossed. And I think we all are. I think we're all very appreciative for everything that you've done in making this world of people who love movies something special, so something open to everyone. Something that anybody who likes any kind of movie can get on board with you guys. And I want you to be very, very proud of everything that you've done. And just celebrate the great moments that we've all had together. I can't say enough good things about you, and it is sad that this is the last show. But more than anything else, I am just excited to see where things go from here, what you guys do next. Because I know you've got that movie nerd gene that is aching to come out. And I know that this is not the end of it. So I adore you guys, love you guys, and wish you all the best. And if you want to listen to a podcast that is not as good as Backlot 605, you can follow me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, or anywhere your pods are caught. Fat Dude Digs Flicks. And on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. But yeah, you guys are fantastic, and you will be missed.
He's being modest. This podcast is great.
I can't fucking top that.
We don't have enough time.
Love you guys. Let's burn this bitch to the ground.
Please don't. This isn't our building. Joe is very gracious for letting us use it. Don't do that.
This and the Pixar countdown that you invited me to be involved with. I know I'm not as active in the film community as some of you are all, but I have little pockets of obsession, and this is one of them. If you were ever to do a Disney animated countdown, I would have been way more passionate than even this one, if you can imagine. But again, just thank you. Look me up on goodnighttheater.com. I have stuff going on all over town, and the theater company is great, and they're doing wonderful shows. Check out next season. We're doing Reefer Madness. Come on, it's gonna be great. So thank you again.
And now Wednesday Comics, Alex.
I just want to say thank you for 3.5 years of friendship, camaraderie. You have literally brought the Avengers of Sioux Falls together. We all have individual episodes and TV shows and movies that we show up in. But it was not me. Not you. Yeah, you do. I go to SuperCon. I see you.
Wrestling Voice Live.
Yeah. But the most important thing is that you guys will be missed. I am excited to hopefully invite you guys to do something to bring you back out of retirement. And let's get Age of Ultron.
I believe you guys are breaking up the Sam got too big for his britches is moving to Hollywood. But, and so I look forward to seeing what he's going to be in. Obviously, probably the new Captain America movie.
I'm the new Skinny Steve.
And then when you check your turn to Captain to put a suit on you, and I look forward to it so much. Everything that was just said here, thank you guys for any time we've been on the podcast. We talked about a fantastic Sam Raimi movie, Darkman.
Yeah.
Things very similar to Doctor Strange and but anyways, just to move this along, WednesdayComics.com, you can go there so you can find how to subscribe to us. The same way as Andy just said, Spotify.
Be your own man, Garrett.
We talk comic books, comic book movies, and you made these guys take a driving test the other day. So it's a lot of just whatever we want to do.
That's like the normalcy on our podcast. He forgets that I'm part of it. So Well, I want to say thanks you guys for setting this up. You know, I haven't known you guys as well as Alex and Marvin have. Like, I feel like I'm, you know, the last couple of years, you know, I finally been able to get to work with you, and it's been a blast. And I'm sad to see Backlot 605 go, but I'm excited to see where you guys go next. And we would love to have you on the show talking about some maybe some older Marvel Fox movies. You know, we did the MCU, so
Hit me up about
we gotta
X2,
go
I'll talk about
X2.
it all.
Yeah, do some X-Men, some Daredevil, the works. But no, thanks again for everything. This is great.
Also, thank you guys for introducing me to shopping.
Yes!
It was fantastic.
Thank you.
It was fantastic.
We're gonna leave Backlot for last. We're gonna hop on over to a comic book look, and we'll start with Dan.
Hi, it's me again, Dan. Also, aka Juggernaut. If you, it's not on my T-shirt, but if you want to look at it, it's got an X and some threes and some weird stuff in there. I need to thank Tom first of all for getting COVID while he was overseas, so that way I could come enjoy this time with you guys. This has been awesome. And I think I didn't even know you guys were retiring, but now that I do, I think we need to rent out a movie theater and probably watch the Hulk movie.
Yeah.
So I can feel better about it being on our list. But yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, guys. This has been great.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for having us here, and this has been definitely an interesting experience. You're going to be missed, but like all great things, I'm looking forward to what's going to happen in the future. And reboots are the way of the future, so we're waiting for the 605 reboot.
Yeah.
We need South Dakota to get another area code.
Oh man. All right. Well, I am John Runyon, John on Demand from A Comic Book Look. I like we said, Tom, my co-host, normally would be here, but he's out. So we are doing our best to just represent you guys. Backlot 605 have done a phenomenal job of representing what we're about. And so when you look back on the past couple of years, connection is something that we all totally needed. And you guys were such a pivotal point in that for our community, and we all definitely appreciate you. And I know when Casey shared the news that this was the last episode, I was honored to be a part of it, but I was also really sad. So I really I appreciate you guys, your partnership when we've done our collaboration shows, having Ken on to talk Stephen King. You guys really have done a great job of bringing us all together, and we appreciate you. On A Comic Book Look, we always end the episodes with Keep It Comics, and so we wanted to keep it comics with you. And so we all kind of came together. And in the comic book world, they do blank sketch covers, and so all of the participants had a chance to sign these to each of you. So that's Sam.
Oh my God.
And
Thanks.
Casey. And Brian. And then Derek is hiding back here on the ones and twos.
Yeah.
So this is our way of just really collectively saying thank you and to help commemorate this awesome gathering tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's amazing. Thank you guys so much. We're going to say goodbye to Backlot in just a minute here. I want to thank Corey and his beautiful musical stylings tonight. Corey Jacobson from Some Random Movie Collection on Instagram. Before we go tonight, I'm Local Lou from the Local Lou podcast, and I like to tell you guys a little bit about local history. So here's a little local history. 2 young men working together at Lewis found a friendship, passing time working together, discussing movies, likes and dislikes, what they're excited about, and what they wanted to see. Brian and Casey then in November of 2018 started Backlot 605. Born from this friendship, other friends would join along the way for this journey. Backlot grew, added Slashlat for all their horror movie love, live events at places like Average Joe's, gaming, Last Stop CD Shop, Spellbound Magic Shop, SuperCon, a really cool YouTube presence, and 4 years later, here we are, over 250 episodes later, and it's time to say goodbye to our Backlot guys. Casey?
I think she's gonna cry.
Like the Avengers, like the MCU, we're not going anywhere.
Friends again, Casey?
And the Undertaker.
So for people who don't know, before this show right here tonight happened, it all started because of us calling out Mr. Eccles to be a part of it. guys, we are great friends with Charlie.
I probably talked to Casey more than I talked to just about anybody.
I don't know. This is something that we always love to do. And I mean, it started back when you two met, Andy and Charlie met for the very first time, was you two yelling at each other, wrestling promo style, without ever saying, hey, I'm Andy. Hey, I'm Charlie. No, I'm just going to yell at you for your opinion. And then we can be best friends after. And I think that's kind of the magic of what this is here tonight. Like this is our Avengers team up, like you guys said. This is something literally 3.5 years in the making. Even last year at SuperCon, we all kind of took a picture together. It was like, how have we not done a show together? And now we're all here. Tom's here in spirit. He's, I'm sure, watching or sleeping. Who knows? But he is here in spirit with us, and it's always great to get together. And it's not going to be the last time we get together. Definitely not. And yeah, I just want to thank you guys for doing this. I mean, it wouldn't be this without you guys here. So thank you guys so much for being a part of our last episode. Thanks to everybody here, watching, whatever. Thank you for that. We do appreciate it. Even though we just yell and ramble and we go on way too long, we're 3.5 hours into the show. We have broke records. This is now the longest show in Backlot history. So, I mean, why not break a record on your way out?
I sit there, and this is why we have you go first, because I don't know how to follow that. But I say the same thing.
Yeah, I'll keep it short, like me. I thank everybody on this panel. Thank you, Corey and Lou. Thank you, Derek. Just thanks to anybody who's even come out, like anybody who's guested on the show, anybody who's listened to the show, anybody who's just even said hi. Like it means a lot. We're excited to hopefully do some cool things in the future. I don't think any of us are going anywhere. And, it's hard to make friends as an adult. I'm glad that I have this podcast to have. Yeah, I've met a bunch of wonderful new people. I love everybody. You're all great. And I hope I see you again soon. And now I'm starting to, my voice is back.
Like first Avenger all over.
Yeah, it is.
I just wanted to take, I don't mean to bring the room down, but I just wanted to take a chance to say thank you. You guys gave me something to live for, something to hope for, a group of people that when I was going through a really hard time, I really needed. And you're all beautiful. I love you all. You're amazing. Thanks for allowing me to walk on this earth a little bit longer.
Hey, we love you, Corey. This is what this is about. So I'm gonna bring it back up a little bit.
Yeah.
As Sam will hold you. If I'll send it home if that's okay. Thank you all again so much. Let's go eat some pizza.
Yes.
Why not? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you all. Have a good night.